Hello and welcome to Random or Nintendo. I swear to God, this better be correct. Episode 87.
It is correct. It is correct. I made a point of checking it twice, like a Santa naughty or nice list. Yeah,
because it also feels like we've been in the 80s for like forever. Like
you could say that about pop culture too,
were...
can't you? It feels like 80 revivals are still going, right? Am I right? Anyone? No.
Are we still in 80s revivals? I guess it's a mix,
right?
Like,
Master of the Universe just came out a month ago.
Dude, we're in 2010 revivals. We just got the Moana movie this
Master
week.
of the Universe just came out like 4 weeks ago. We're in a stew. We're in the melting pot that they say is America is actually just how all our nostalgia is smushed together.
Angel's also right. We just got the Assassin's Creed Black Flag remaster, and that game came out in the mid-2010s.
That's more to my point in that like everything's now. It's all clothes are like early 2000s and 90s.
More to the point you made after the first one. That
I
was
know.
Just the 80s,
let me keep course correcting until ultimately I say the right thing. That's completely different than what I said before. But yeah.
Well, before we get too far into this, as you've already heard them, Mr. Correct and Wrong at the same time is Jason.
That's what I do. I'm right and wrong simultaneously. Hello.
And the voice of reason, Kevin.
That I should absolutely not be given that title. Me? You want to give me the voice of reason? The guy that thought in the middle of our Epcot run, yeah, let's take sake bombs to Japan and just ruin the rest of the trip.
Fine. Redacted. The fun one, Kevin.
Hey, I'll take that one.
What would you label yourself, Angel?
Yeah. I don't know. That seems presumptuous. I feel like you can't name yourself.
But you're the host.
Someone
You're the one
that's
designating titles. So like,
the host.
Okay.
Damn. Yeah. Taking the easy way out. Maybe next time I'll call
dodging a bullet there for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll call on you to give me a title the next time one of you two hosts.
I believe in our Discord.
But,
in our Discord server, you are the role of the Silver Tongue. So take that as you will.
Oh. Fancy.
It's funny because historically, and I'm sure both of you can potentially validate this, I am notoriously bad at getting out of situations using only talking. If anything, I can incriminate myself more by trying to sound innocent. I mean, I guess it just makes me like a bad liar.
It's less, I'm going to give you some credit. It's less the words you say. It's
I don't know.
When you
but then
you have a little tick in the side of your mouth that is trying not to smile, and there's this like quivering little baby inch of a smile that keeps forming, and that's how we know you're lying. It's less the words. It's more your face. That sounded rude.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm like forever an LA Noire NPC. Like there's like always a
yeah, there's always a doubt button hovering above you.
Yeah, I guess unless like, big stakes are on the line. Case in point, Florida bamboozling of Jason. Like, I definitely had to give it my A game to, convince Jason that I wasn't going to Florida. And that was fun. Even the one time when I almost gave it away when I was like, oh, you didn't get the tickets, or did you get my tickets? And I was like, oh, wait. But then, thankfully, they didn't catch on that because they were already on to the next thing. But... yeah, I guess
you also again in my defense of your little smile. We were on the phone almost entirely for those conversations. I never could see the panic in your face when you're trying to hide the lie. But yeah,
there you go. So I need to not do it in person. But I guess let's go around the room. I mean, I guess we'll start with you, Kevin. How have you been?
I have been doing pretty good, as you can probably hear, listener. I am congested. I will have to eventually get my surgery again to get these nasal polyps removed. But I have decent healthcare again, so
yay to the healthcare, boo to the surgery, but glad you're getting what you need done.
Yep. And on Monday I start my my new job, which is going to be pretty exciting. Finally a regular.
Is it something you plan to disclose, or are you keeping that close to the chest? I mean, we know, but for
I don't think I've ever just. Sure, I'm going to be working for the Olympics. So
how cool is that?
In Los Angeles in 2 years. So I'll be helping put that event together. So
that is so
excited
cool.
for that. Yeah. Excited for an event that I work on to be on like this global stage. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get bigger than this.
I mean, as far as events go, yeah, that's like the Super Bowls, or whatever you want to call it.
Like the only one that comes,
because everything's a Super Bowl.
Yeah, the only one that probably comes close to it is probably the one that we're living in right now, the FIFA World Cup. Yeah, but I think the World Cup draws more viewership than the Olympics, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you might be right. But,
yeah, well, like that doesn't bother me. I'm going to be able to put that I worked on the Olympics on my resume. So happy about that.
Isn't there basically a World Cup in the Olympics? Like, isn't there also
there's a soccer, a football, tournament in the Olympics as well, but obviously not as prestigious as the World Cup. I don't think.
And the
countries send out their best the same way that they do for the World Cup.
And the thing about the Olympics that's cooler than the World Cup, at least if you're an LA local or in the host city, is if you don't mind the fact that your city's hosting it and the traffic and the whatever, it takes over the city at a lot larger of a scale than like a World Cup where it's one stadium. Like there's like dozen venues, 15 venues or something up and down the coast of SoCal that will be involved in this. Like it's going to be a full city, like full court press. So that the scale of it's a lot bigger, which is really cool that you got to be part of.
Well, wait, so you're saying stay off the freeway?
Well, the last time LA had the Olympics, everyone thought traffic would be absolutely horrible, so everyone left LA, and apparently the freeways were empty. So, which I can say for the World Cup. So they had a game, 2 games on a Thursday last week, I think, and all my coworkers were like, we're going to work from home that day. Like, we're not dealing with it. Admittedly, in between the 2 games,
I didn't get the memo.
But you're stuck in it. In that in between, there's a game at noon, a game at 7. In that in between, I've never seen my phone push this to me, but Apple Maps sent me a traffic is really bad notification, which it has never done before. It's just like, hey, it's gonna take you like double to get home. I'm like, oh, but if you play it right, going into the office that day, I went in at like 11 or 12 or something, the emptiest the freeway's ever been, because everyone was afraid. Either people were at the game or were afraid to go on the roads. So if you play it right, you can kind of bob and weave around the traffic. But
hey, whenever Mexico played, there was no traffic in LA. So
it's
while it lasted.
Yeah, same with briefly when Korea was playing. If you were on the going towards downtown or K-Town, it was clear. Yeah.
And currently Argentina is playing against Switzerland. Go Switzerland! I do not need to see Argentina win another one.
Rachel's family on her mom's side is Swiss, so I guess I'm rooting for Switzerland as well.
All right, well, let's go Switzerland.
Let's go Switzerland. Keep us updated. Yes,
I will.
It's going to be great when people listen to this in like 2 days and they're like, oh, I already know who won. But for us, it will be real and real time.
So when Mexico was playing, who were they playing? They just got knocked out by England. Who did they play before? Belgium?
Yeah, I think it was Belgium. No, wait.
Oh,
was it? No, Belgium was the U.S. Was it? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. No, wait.
I thought Belgium knocked the U.S. out.
You're right. Belgium who knocked Mexico out?
I don't even know, to be honest.
Well, the game before they got knocked out. No, Japan got out pretty early.
Was it France?
No.
France just beat someone, I think.
Ghana?
Soccer. Sorry, listeners.
I don't know. I haven't watched anything.
I haven't really paid much attention.
Clearly.
I see it secondhand. Yeah. Galapagos Islands, do they have a team?
Mexico
I don't remember
got
who was
England.
playing or won. That time I saw you, Kevin, and our other friend Eric and my brother. I think you guys were watching.
Yeah,
soccer.
Colombia was in. I forgot who Colombia was playing, but that's who was playing. So Mexico versus Ecuador. Oh, of course, Ecuador it's part of my story. So my dad refuses to pay for like cable, like traditional DirecTV or anything like that. So he has like one of those Fire Sticks that are like hacked, that are really bad. So they watch. My parents watch the TV off from there, and it's on a 15-second delay. If you know anything about Los Angeles or you live in Los Angeles, you know that if the men's Mexican national team scores, it's like the 4th of July. Fireworks,
not even wins. If they score,
if they just score, that'll happen. And so we're on a 15-second delay, and so every single time that Mexico would score, we'd hear the fireworks way ahead of actually seeing them, score a goal.
Oh, that's funny.
So I remember the first one happened. I was like, oh, that must be Mexico scored. So, of course, they score 15 seconds later. And then once again it happened, and my dad goes, "Oh, you never know that might be Ecuador fans." I was like, "Oh yes, the well-known Ecuadorian population of Los Angeles are the ones lighting fireworks." It's pretty funny.
That's funny. Yeah,
I'm sure there is an Ecuadorian population here in Los Angeles, but I
don't think they're making that much noise because I don't think there's enough of them to make that much noise.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, congrats again, and happy for the new opportunities. Definitely looking forward to hearing more about it, at least from their experience. I don't think I typically watch the Olympics ever, but if Kevin's involved,
then you're going to watch every single event.
Know more about it.
It's really
that's
funny.
2.5 weeks of nonstop
just
coverage.
looking for Kevin the whole time. It's like, where are they?
It's really funny. I don't ever watch the World. I don't watch soccer, even though a huge majority of my career has been in sports. So I don't watch soccer, and I don't watch the Olympics typically. But whenever I try to catch up, like, oh, who won gold for this event? People are like, oh, the U.S. won. I was like, yeah, we did. Hell yeah, of course, of course. I become very patriotic around these times.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Angel's at a loss of words.
That's me being. Yeah, I think it's like. Oh, appreciate that, Kevin.
Of course.
I think it was more like. I don't know if I want to get into it this time. Maybe we'll talk about it more when sports become relevant again. But it's just more my whole, like, I just can't. Besides just not watching sports in general, like, I feel like I need to know the lore of all the players to get into any particular team to like follow them, which is probably the only reason I ever. Like, the only team I ever felt anything for was the Giants. And that was just because a friend of ours, Nigel, friend of the podcast, like, basically gave me the rundown on every player, like, their upbringing, how they got to where they were. And, it basically made it like, like a drama. Like, the wins felt...
Well, that's literally for sports fans what it is, yeah. He sort of dipped into that.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Like, which is awesome. Like, yeah, like, if they do keep up with all that, that's great, but I just can't subscribe to. I'm from LA, so therefore I have to go for the Dodgers by default.
Like that either.
Like, I guess I don't. Yeah, like, I can't do default basically. Like, it's just neutral, or I'll just pick I like the Raptors because the Raptor logo or mascot looks cool. That's probably the next thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nintendo. Nintendo was involved, so I think because of that, I like the Washington Lions.
I believe you're trying to say the Seattle Mariners. That's who Nintendo's involved.
The Lions that
no, Nintendo's involved with
the
the
Lions
Seattle
are from Detroit.
Detroit Lions. Nothing to do with Nintendo. Seattle Mariners. Nintendo.
Yeah. They're a football team, right? Detroit
Yeah.
Lions? Yeah, they used Animal Crossing as their player introductory.
So they involved
thing.
Nintendo, not the other way around. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, pretty much like if they do something that's like, oh, that's neat and appeals to me. So yeah, like, yeah, Mariners I know was owned by Nintendo, which is obviously as direct as you can get, but that I guess wasn't enough for me. At least like this other team, Lions, going more out of their way to incorporate Nintendo, or whether it was just their intro where I was like, please let me do this. I have this awesome idea. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, that's 100% what it was. Yeah, the social media team makes those every year, every team's, and they're all themed around whatever witty thing. I'm sure someone has since done like a Love Island themed one, or like they just pick up on what's popular or trending, and
yeah, and and Animal Crossing was pretty popular and trendy, which did recently get an update, which gives me more hope that it's still alive.
The update in
but anyway,
you know what? Actually, it is still alive
because it was supposed to be dead. Like it got a Switch 2 edition.
It is still alive. You know how I know it's still alive?
They're like,
I was playing. So I just picked up today. I'll talk about it in a future episode. But I was just playing Mouse PI for Hire on my Switch.
Is this part of how you're doing?
Yeah. And you know who I saw playing Animal Crossing, proving it is alive? Someone who's MIA on this podcast, Elvis. He was playing Animal Crossing. It is still alive. He's playing it in the year 2026.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Elvis?
It said Red Crest was online with Animal Crossing. Mm-hmm.
Huh. That's a very specific thing.
There's a mystery of where he is right now, opposed to why he's not on the podcast. And there's a mystery of why is he playing Animal Crossing, and it's like one of those online ARGs, like I Love Bees that Halo did back in the day. If anyone can solve it, they can win something. I'm not providing the prize, but someone has the answer somewhere.
So that explains the lack of a fourth chair.
Mm-hmm. But no, he was playing Animal Crossing, so it is alive for real.
Well, what do you know? But yeah, I mean, anything else you want to say, Jason, as far as how you've been before we jump into
I've been
the
good. I
topics?
feel like all the topics are going to cover pretty much everything I've been doing for the past since we last. I mean, you haven't been on the podcast in a minute, but it's been. We
Yeah,
missed
but
one
how are
episode.
you
how am I as a
doing?
person? I'm doing all right. I'm excited for Comic-Con in a couple weeks. We're in like that sweet spot of everything's getting announced on plan. Everything Nintendo's back in a real way this year for the first time in a number of years.
Are you excited for the live recording of the Conan Needs a Friend podcast at San Diego?
I wish they did that. God, I wish Conan was still involved. No, he's not going to be down there. It's actually so far a little lighter this year in terms of like presence of shows and stuff I'm into. But we'll see. The thing about Comic-Con is like you never know. You never really know what you're going to get into till you're down there or until like the week before, and then it all just falls into place. So we shall see. But I'm excited for that.
Something, box of chocolates and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty. So yeah, I'm good. To answer your question, I'm good, and just been enjoying the wave of summer movies and games and whatnot.
Well, speaking of games, we're actually going to be talking about both of those things, actually. Movies, a lot of games. I think we should just start with games. So, honestly, let's jump right into Star Fox, because that one, since its announcement of an announcement, like 10 minutes before the announcement,
Yeah.
it was one of those things where, like, half the population was like, please don't let it be another Star Fox 64 remake. And then there was another part of it that was also, please let it be a Star Fox 64, like, full-on remake. It was kind of like somewhere in between. But either way, I'm excited that Star Fox is back. I liked what I've seen so far. I played the demo, but you've actually purchased it with your hard-earned money.
Yeah.
And managed to roll credits.
Which is like,
kudos.
I mean, that's both impressive that Jason rolled credits on a game, but also like it's a 45-minute game.
I'll take all I can get.
Hey, I roll credits on
I don't know.
mixtape.
I don't know how many
last
times you have
time
to
we
roll
spoke,
credits
so.
to get your...
How long
What
is
is it,
mixtape?
like, mission
3
accomplished versus complete?
3.5 hours.
Okay.
I
And to be fair, it takes 2 hours or less to beat... No, it takes like about 2.5 hours to beat Rhythm
Nope,
Heavy
that's
Groove,
if you're
but-
good with rhythm, as we will get to when you share your. I see we're going sequentially with the order of releases Nintendo's done. When we get to Rhythm Heaven, and it will take me longer than it took you because my rhythm is bad and your rhythm is good. But it is a fun game. But Star Fox, I guess we could start with Star Fox.
Anyway, Star Fox.
Yeah,
yes.
so
gush away.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I do feel like I need to approach these impressions with kind of a disclosure because, like, I mean, I'm not being paid here. This isn't like sponsored content, no like hashtag ad. But like, as you guys know, I have a very big Star Fox 64 bias. Like, I love Star Fox 64. I worship at the altar of
it's literally
Star
been-
Fox 64. Like, yeah.
Yeah, Star Fox 64 has literally been at the center of, I would say, many conversations, disputes, and I would even say presented bonding opportunities, mainly between, like, Jason and my brother-in-law,
Yep.
a coworker and Jason, that same coworker and the other brother-in-law, because, the common denominator being that, like, I just have no nostalgia for it, and it's basically them going, Angel, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, how can you not like this? Why do you say Assault's better than it? And I think we have yet to have this Star Fox 64, I guess, play day where we just, like, play through that game. I guess, actually, it's even better now because we could play a run of that game, play the new one, and then maybe just play some Assault multiplayer and call it a night. And maybe just appreciate the franchise as a whole and have all of you guys admit, like, yeah, 64 is fine for its time.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Because here's the thing about 64. I mean, the play day sounds very fun, but the admitting that 64 is overhyped. No. Because here's the thing. The nuts and bolts of the gameplay of Star Fox 64 are really good. Like, I'm not going to be, when I talk about the remake right now, I'm not going to be even keeled with that take. Like, I think the gameplay's timeless. I think the way it builds replayability by having you try different routes, and that's a fun structure and has led me to replay Star Fox 64 probably more than any other game I can think of. At least maybe another short game like Yoshi's Story Night as a kid came close, but like, I have replayed Star Fox 64 a ton, excluding multiple times across multiple versions.
You're right. Yoshi's Story is 100% the Star Fox of platformers.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you literally pick your routes, and you get different kind of endings.
Yeah.
Sort of. Well, you get different bosses, but
yeah, they're very parallel. But my point is,
Huh.
I'm not like this. What I'm gonna say about the remake is not gonna like be trying to sell you on the gameplay or you trying to sell me. Like I even enjoyed the original's bare bones multiplayer back in the day. Like I thought it was just a very good all inclusive package. So anything I say about the gameplay has that rose-tinted glasses situation. But what I can talk about more sincerely and fairly is the quality of this remake. The problem is, even when I talk about that, at least on the surface, you may not be able to differentiate it from my gameplay bias because they did a really good job with the remake, frankly. Like, I mean, if you go in knowing that the mission statement of this release is basically to give Star Fox 64 the presentation of a 2026 game, I would argue that Valen Studios basically nailed the assignment. You see it in the graphics, which look great in motion, especially when playing in like full 4K on a TV. Even like they even do like the explosions in HDR, like nice and bright and glowy and cool. And you hear it with a fully orchestrated score they now have. They recorded it apparently at Abbey Road, like the Beatles Abbey Road at that studio. You experience this like nailing of the assignment through the tweaked narrative choices. Like now when you find an alternate path and need to choose between which of the next stages to go to, what they tweaked is there's actually accompanying story beats and cutscenes that just justify why you might want to do each path, and that leaves it up to you to decide instead of it just being like, all right, here's, just kind of like, here's the story if you go this way and here's the story if you go that way. Like it kind of blends it, which is nice. So like holistically speaking, this game very much feels like how you'd expect Star Fox 64 to feel as a 2026 release. Although, to be fair, there are some nitpicks to be had within that framework, if you look at it that way. One I know the internet kind of latched onto pretty quickly is this idea that bosses don't flash when you shoot their weak spots like they did in the N64 version. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but you play on N64, you shoot them, the entire boss, like there's like a frame where they're just white, like just white glow. And
I want to say the 3DS version did that.
Yes, it did.
Really
all
like
of them have done it
version.
until
I
this
think
one.
64 worked really well as a 3DS game.
Yeah, and it did on 3DS do the same thing. And reading people noticed that before I started playing, because people, downloaded it the night it released, and I picked up the physical the next day. There was that little window where I was seeing people say stuff before I tried it. And reading it, it felt like they're making a big deal about nothing. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. Or I guess once you can't see it, you can't unsee how you can't see it. It's not super detrimental to the experience or anything, but between how your R-Wings aiming reticle is and like not easily knowing if you're landing those weak spot shots, it's true. The visual cues that you're doing the right thing aren't as strong. For me, having played the game so much and knowing all the bosses and knowing the weak spots, like as a seasoned Star Foxer, no biggie. But if you're a newer player, if you're coming in after the Mario Galaxy movie introduced you to the series or whatever, maybe having the whole enemy flash like in the N64 version would have been worth preserving. It's kind of an odd thing to not do. Another aspect that's been a hot topic is the changes to the voice acting. And I'd argue, again, this is more of a, make the game feel like 2026 than anything else. Point blank, the game's not as campy anymore. The line reads aren't as over the top or cheesy. They've adjusted some aspects of characters like Slippy to make him, less kind of generally annoying guy and more like just this eager techie guy on the team. They have a lot of characters say things in a bit more of a, I don't know what you would call it, like almost like a Marvel movie style deadpan than like the hyperactive delivery of the N64 version. And whether you prefer one or the other, that's up to you. But there's still some campier stuff in here just now in this new like flavor, so to speak. So like if you make it to the end of the game, you'll know I'm referencing where I go with this quote of "Hi, Bill." So that's one that's kind of more campy. There's Peppy's obsession with Fox's dad's death seems to have become a meme in and of itself already. Like they kind of lean on that more in this one. So there is still camp. It's just a little less hyperactive camp as the first one. But again, I don't think it's necessarily better or worse. It's really your preference. One is just the direction the game took in the 90s with like a campy space opera, and the other is the direction the game's taking in 2026 as like a sci-fi space, almost Western, like Star Wars-y, Guardians of the Galaxy thing. So the folks who likely pine, in my mind, the folks who are likely pining for the prior, more over-the-top, hyperactive delivery are the people that experienced it back then. And if the whole idea is to modernize the game, voice acting and line delivery would fall under modernization, that bucket of modernization in my mind too. So Again, I don't think one's worse than the other. It's just different. But in exchange for the kind of more modern voice acting and line delivery, I do feel that while subtle, we do see stronger moments between characters. We do see more fleshed out character arcs like Falco. I mean, not heavily fleshed out, but a little more than what there was before. Like Falco's attitude is noticeably more untrusting of Fox at the start, and you kind of watch him grow into being more accepting of Fox's leadership. And there's still, plenty of like wink and nod dialogue throughout the game. Like if you're a fan of the original, like Peppy at one point is saying maybe we should trust Falco's instincts instead of your instincts. And during the initial tutorial training, Angel, you probably caught this when you played the demo.
Can you say it in Peppy's voice though? His voice, like it sounds like Peppy,
trust
but
Falco's I know I can't do Peppy, but
like it's definitely the most cartoony I feel of all the voices.
Oh, Peppy's?
And
yeah.
I don't want to.
They made him sound like
Peppy,
a 70-year-old
like,
man when he's 41, according to the game.
Yeah, like at least on what very little I've seen, like it never stood out this much in my opinion before, and now it's like I don't know. It just feels like extra needed. Like, hey, Fox, let's do this thing. Do a barrel roll.
Yeah, it's
just extra.
It's weird because everyone else is more subdued, and then Peppy, they like turned up the old man voice on. But even then, his line delivery is still more.
You could almost say it's
monotonous.
extra peppy.
It's extra peppy, but still kind of flatter than the most campy, over the top delivery of other characters in the 64 one. Like it's like Peppy like stepped up slightly, but everyone else came back down so much that now he seems more exaggerated almost. But there is one voice I can do. So one of the nods I appreciate, and you probably experienced this during the demo, is when you finish the tutorial. It goes into like an all range mode, and then Falco kind of like hijacks the tutorial, like, let's turn up the difficulty. And the module that's running the tutorial glitches, and it slips into the classic Rob good luck voice. Even though that voice isn't used anywhere else in the game, they snuck it in for that little bit. So like it knows its roots. It still has some nods for the old time, like the older fans. It just also is playing to what a 2026 expectation is, I guess. But more broadly speaking, I do keep saying this motif.
But it's no Bonanza. Well, that's a hard. No, that's
no
an
Bonanza. In what sense?
This is,
in terms of the
No, it's it.
Go ahead.
Well, because Bonanza, like, this doesn't spoil anything. This is just, I was watching some developer interviews where, essentially, for everything everything old they referenced, they made sure to add something new to counterbalance it, so that there wasn't like.
Oh, they do that here.
Old stuff. No, yeah, but like. Bonanza is also like a full-on new Donkey Kong game. Like, Star Fox at its core is 64.
I will say...
I feel like it's more apt to compare it once we get like a new Star Fox entry that, can still honor the legacy while still doing something new. And it would be great to see how they...
Yeah.
If they even do try to like, are they going to just completely jump over Adventures and Assault and just do their own thing? Or will they kind of veer into some of that? Because I'd love for us Adventures at least to get some kind of
there's a rumor
it ever will get a remake.
There's a rumor they're making a new Adventure style.
But I really like the game.
There is a rumor they're making a new Adventure style game. Someone is. I don't know who. But so.
And then we're gonna get the next Direct.
And there it will be.
There's gonna be and there'll be an announcement, and I'm gonna be like, dang it, Jason.
You just said I would love to see something Adventure style, and we must inform the people.
I would love to, which means it would be surprising. And then you said, well, there's a rumor. Which,
we must inform the public. We can't pretend it's not out there. I can't lie to Angel, I can't lie to you. I know you can lie pretty well, as we discussed at the top of the show, but I can't lie to you. I'm pure of heart.
That's true. I'm not in person, so I am actually... Yeah, so Silver Tongue Online is very apt. Yeah. But that's the thing, though. Like, when it's a rumor... I guess there's different levels of it. I feel like with the Ocarina one, and maybe even the Star Fox one, you maybe had said, like... Yeah, it's a rumor, but it's by this person, so it may as well be like a fact.
And then it was a fact, lo and behold.
Yeah, those are the ones that I have a more problem with. Like, if you find...
Well, you did miss it. You missed it last episode. When we had Kurt on, we were talking about how annoying it is. Nothing against this guy, but how annoying it is that Nate the Hate just point blank spilled the beans on everything. Yeah. And he's very reliable. So it was
kind of living up to the name.
Yeah,
so,
there you go. But so you're not alone in that thought. If someone were to drip feed hints or be like, there's rumblings, that's one thing. But to just straight up, Nate was straight up just like holiday season, Ocarina of Time.
To put it on the record, so that like at the very least it's known between us, if you hear something from Nate the Hate or Emily Rogers if she's still
She's
alive.
not doing her thing anymore. She's long gone. In the rumor world, she's probably still alive. She's just long gone in the. She's not what she was. That's a pull. I forgot about her. Yeah.
She came up a ton back in the Random Nintendo heyday. I feel like I heard her name at least once per episode. Emily Rogers this. Well, usually from you. Emily Rogers that. Something about Pikmin. Something about new Mario Kart project, or even I think like Breath of the Wild. But yeah, if you hear anything from any of these Nate the Hate types, I would say just don't tell me. If it's like a random rumor like this, I guess that's fine. People can speculate and will say random things, but
okay.
These seem to be just straight up people that know something and are just putting it out there. And
I actually don't know where the Adventures one started, to be honest, but it wasn't Nate or Emily Rogers.
Because, like,
what's
yeah, it would have been nice
to
get more than.
No,
go for it, Kevin.
Finish your thought, Angel, and then I'll go.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, like, it would have been nice to get more than just like a tease for Ocarina of Time, but that's only because we basically got this like confirmation that it was gonna be here. If it was a complete surprise, like, I wasn't expecting it until like this stuff started coming out, and I would have been like, oh shoot, that's all I need to know. Thank you, Nintendo. Just tell me you're working on it, and I'm happy. But it just felt like it took the wind out of its sails.
It absolutely did. In fact, Nintendo did. Well, we talked about this last episode, but the fact Nintendo didn't pivot when they had 2 months lead time, knowing how quickly it was spreading, was surprising. But what were you gonna say, Kevin?
It's funny when I hear you guys talk about stuff like this, like the Ocarina of Time leak, or even the Star Fox leak. When I listen to a lot of video game podcasts, and some of these things are very, very known and talked about before the hate even sort of confirms it. Like, I listened to Jeff Gerstmann's podcast, and he, like, before the hate reveal or leak happened, like, he would acknowledge that, like, yeah, there's some talks about a Ocarina of Time remake floating around, and then it's just talks. But as soon as Nate the Hate says that's typically when it becomes like known. But
like locked in
within the industry, and especially within like the journalism side of video game reporting, stuff like this is known. Like, you can't imagine that Jason Schreier doesn't know about an Ocarina of Time or Star Fox remake.
Or that guy,
what's his name?
Don't talk bad about Jason Schreier, okay?
The Games Beat dude. He's now at Giant Bomb. God, what's his name? Shaggy. He has a beard, long hair.
Jeff Grubb. Yeah.
Yeah, Grubb. He knows a lot of stuff too.
It's like Grubb, Gertzman, Schreier.
I think.
But they openly talk about this stuff on the podcast before any leak.
That's partly why when I sort of just casually was like, yeah, they're making adventures. Like, that's the scuttlebutt around the industry that it's happening. So you'd be like, wait, no, don't bring it up. It's like, I'm not. It's already out there.
Well, that's the thing. Like, because I fully expect both of you to have known about this, but as you both know, or maybe not fully, like, I kind of go out of my way to kind of just stay in the bubble. Like, I don't really go on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, really anything. And the people I talk to aren't really as into Nintendo as I am, so I don't really ever hear anything until it's brought up here, which is usually after, I guess, it's become so publicly known that Nate the Hate brings it up, and then it becomes like now everybody that didn't know now knows.
Well, what Nate the Hate does that's kind of different is he'll lock it in, so to speak. Like, everyone else will be like, oh yeah, there's rumblings, there's talk, it might be happening, and then it's just like, it'll come out this holiday. I mean, he outlined, annoyingly, literally all of Nintendo's rest of this year into next year. And there's a bunch of stuff that's been sort of secondary to what he said that's been floating around that we're not mentioning. But technically, and then there's like rating boards leaks and stuff. Like, there's a different Nintendo franchise that Brazil's like some board, not even a rating board, some government agency in Brazil just accidentally revealed in a document. So now we know that's coming. Like, it's hard to, unless you're in a bubble, like you're saying, this stuff just is out there. Which sucks for Nintendo because it pulls the rug out from under their plans, but.
Yeah. And that's why you give Star Fox a 2.
Well, I wasn't even done talking. We just sort of went on a tangent. But no, we where we kind of left it was the voice acting thing. They brought Bonanza, and you're saying how Bonanza, for something new, they do something old. in terms of Star Fox, it is worth knowing a lot of the dialogue is changed. Spirit's the same. A couple lines are the same, but it is a lot of new ways to say old things or new ways to flesh out old things. So it is, even though the gameplay scenarios are very familiar, identical, there is newness around it, to be fair. But I did kind of have this whole motif I was saying of like Star Fox 64. It's like, the idea of this game is it's Star Fox 64, but make it feel like 2026. And where I think the game gets more interesting is that the fact is, in actuality, Valen did more than just that mission statement. They didn't stop at just make it feel like 2026. They added stuff. The highlight for me being the completely revamped multiplayer mode that I feel like not enough people are talking about. So instead of just random dogfights or reused level assets, Valen pretty much flexed their Knockout City muscle. They gave some actual depth to multiplayer. They have entire different maps, unique objectives. There are 3 maps, each with a specific gameplay goal you need to achieve as a squad of 4 versus 4. Appropriately, you're on either team, Starwolf or Star Fox. And these squads are made up of strangers online, friends online, and you're then shuffled into one of these 3 maps. They each have their own objective, like each objective's tied to a map. You might need to drag resources to your team's goal or stop like another team from dragging something to their goal in Sector Y. You collect like energy from fallen meteorites in Fushina. You do this very Splatoon splat zone type claim and maintain control of zones in this like very nice prime sunset color Corneria. And in a very Knockout City sort of way, it often means not just dogfighting and doing stuff by yourself, but when you're playing with friends, at least coordinating your positions with your fellow teammates, knowing who's dragging the item in Sector Y and who needs to defend it and all that. And it's just really cool. I was very surprised that like this little hidden gem inside there that's entirely new. And if that wasn't enough, Valen then went a step further and they made these environments actually kind of like alive. It's not just the 4v4 flying around. You've got tons of computer-controlled ships also doing their thing. It's very much like when you fight Starwolf in the all-range mode battles of the single-player mode. Actually, that might be the best way to think about it, is multiplayer is basically giant Starwolf battles from single-player, but in entirely new maps overlaid with unique new gameplay. And it's a lot of fun. Even if it's a bit simplistic, like you're not ranking up your ship stats, you're not earning new parts, you're not equipping new abilities. It's just like a solid little companion multiplayer mode that's fully online in the way that, I don't know if you got like GameCube era maybe, where a ton of single player games would just like tack on this multiplayer thing that's fun in and of itself, but isn't like the main focus of the game. It's like that. But with the added modern flourish of, it being online, it having those game chat character overlays where you can map your face to Fox or Peppy or whoever, like an iPhone emoji, which, by the way, that's another example of Valen going above just making Star Fox feel like 2026. They didn't need to do animojis, but they did. They're goofy. They're great. They didn't need to do a first-person mouse support mode thing that's kind of like Star Fox Zero with a better control scheme, but they did. They even built in co-op around it. Although, truth be told, on that one, I still prefer the normal controls myself, but the option is nice, I guess. But there's a whole different way to play, really, because you're in the cockpit. You can actually turn on that cockpit view in the normal mode, too, if you hit minus, I believe. So that's another thing they added that didn't really need to be there.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And they also didn't need to introduce this other neat feature called the Holo Viewer, but they did it anyway. And this is something that, for those who really want to dig into the lore, is actually pretty cool. This is how I know Peppy is 41 years old. If you go through the game, as you go through the game, it basically unlocks personnel files and other background story info that I believe is positioned as coming from General Pepper's files. And you can read them at your leisure, and there's little hologram character models you can spin around and stuff. And it fleshes out the universe in a kind of like Star Fox Command sort of way with all this backstory and stuff. It adds replayability if you want to unlock them all. And it's just this like added layer of story that they didn't need to put here, but it's pretty cool it's here. And they also similarly added replayability with a challenges mode. This one's maybe a little more expected for a game in 2026, but basically it's like 200, I think, individual challenges across all game stages. You go back and you try and hit different goals, like defeating certain combos of enemies or not taking damage or avoiding destroying buildings or that sort of stuff, but you get warped right into those stages. You don't have to go through the whole level map, the whole like grid of the planets. You just go do the challenge, and as you do them, you can unlock harder ones, you can unlock new accessories, there's game chat avatar stuff you can unlock. It's just like extra replay value built into the game. So yeah, there's actually really a decent amount layered on top of the core game. But ironically, because Valen did go beyond just making it feel like 2026, I feel like they kind of made it easier for a couple cracks to show, or really one crack to show. This is my one complaint about the game, outside of the hitbox thing, outside, take your lead of voice acting depending on what you want. The one thing that bothers me about this game, as much as I enjoy the added cutscenes, there is something a little sparse about them. I mean, if you compare, so at the end of that direct you mentioned, Angel, when they announced that they're going to announce Star Fox in 10 minutes, and then they did the announcement, that direct ended with a 3 to 5 minute fully CG animated prologue, which is also what opens the game. And you're flying around, there's cool camera angles, there's lots of dialogue, it's very cinematic, you name it, it's like a full, really good cutscene. And while some of what you experience in the rest of the game, especially the Andros fight, is equally cinematic, and what you do see in the cutscenes between stages feels very lived in, with characters doing stuff in the background and grabbing drinks from the fridge and all that while the foreground's happening. Like, all that's great, and all those things are true. But it still feels kind of like light, for lack of a better way to put it. Like, those scenes between stages, while longer, are still short and don't show much beyond just them chatting inside the Great Fox, and still are very directly only tied to explaining which level you're about to embark on and why. Now, granted, they bridged, like I was saying, they did this cool thing where they bridge. It's not just like, you're going to this level now, here's why. They kind of set it up where it's like, are you doing this or are you doing that? Here are the pros and cons, you decide. But it's still, while feeling like a big step up from the original and more fleshed out, it still feels like they could have done more with it, And again, it's ironic because so many other parts of the game went beyond just being Star Fox 64, like all that lore in the Holo Viewer. I feel like that could have fleshed out a couple of cutscenes a little further. The multiplayer, I wonder if there's some of the ideas in there could have been used to make like a few single-player bonus stages of some sort, maybe, or like a gameplay epilogue that's exclusive to the Switch 2 remake, or an added branching path or something. But it stops just short of that. So my best guess and my hope, to your point about where to go to next with Star Fox, Angel, my best guess and hope is that this Star Fox project is following Nintendo's recent MO of working with outside developers. I don't think Valen's doing whatever the Rumored Adventures game is. But Nintendo has a habit where they first teach these outside parties the ways of a franchise with a remake, using existing scenarios that stay very true to exactly those scenarios, and then they unleash them to do their own thing with a full-fledged sequel, right? Like we saw it with Mercury Steam making Metroid Samus Returns, and then they got to do Metroid Dread. When Retro Studios underwent huge staffing changes, they kind of got their hand, sort of got in the groove of Metroid Prime Remastered, and then they did Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, although that one's a little more complicated because Bandai Namco was in the mix at 1.2. But regardless, we see it with Grezzo. They did a bunch of Zelda remakes and then eventually upgraded into being able to do Echoes of Wisdom. And my hope is that we may now see it happen with Valen and Star Fox, especially since we've learned that Star Fox...
That'd be great, because they do seem to have a good hold of the mechanics.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, it can't be understated how great this game felt to play.
Yeah.
And, without spoiling much, I mean, it's Star Fox 64, but even then, there was a moment that that I did see that I thought was handled really well. It's like it's a section you play through, but it just looked really nice.
Is it the section? Are you talking about the Asteroid Belt alternate path?
No,
okay.
It's something much, much later.
Okay.
I feel like you'll know when you see it, but J.J. Abrams definitely was called in for this.
But they do a great job. The game looks and runs great. And we have learned that Star Fox is running on their custom engine, and they clearly put a lot of effort into the art style and all the assets and stuff. And if this feels like it's the foundation to something, right? So if they can now hit the ground running, and the multiplayer mode, let's say, is a litmus test of ideas to further explore, then please, by all means, give us more. Even if the Adventures thing turns out to be a parallel project that someone else is making, give us more of this. Because ultimately, if my impressions aren't making it clear, I feel like Valen nailed the assignment and then did some extra credit work, and it's all awesome. And now that whole package just makes me want them to do even more Star Fox. So hopefully,
not to mention,
yeah.
Oh, not to mention that I hope they do make another game, because if this becomes the established Fox design, I feel like it will really force the Smash Brothers creators to get really creative with their moveset, because there's just some things that just don't make sense with their current design and the moves they had in the previous game. The Firefox stuff can still work, but pretty much anything involving rapid kicks are just gonna look really weird.
I mean, admittedly,
so,
the little baby legs that they all have, while more animal actual, like actually true to real animals. So I was surprised at first when I started the game. They took out so when you boot up Star Fox 64 or 3DS version, it starts with them running in the hall of the Great Fox, right? And they're all running and running and running, and you could technically leave it there forever, and they're just running and running and running. They took that out completely from this one. I was like, that's interesting. I wonder why. Then you get to the real ending, where again, reminder, they're running. If you for those who have beaten the old Star Fox, I won't go into too much detail, but there's another scene where they're running, just running. I got to that. And the running looks a little funny. It's true to their animal forms, but it doesn't have, to your point about like some moves won't work, it doesn't. They look more like animals who are on their hind legs running, but it looks a little more goofy and awkward than how they looked in the 64 one. So, yeah, there's some work they need to do with those new legs. Yeah, they need a leg day, one could say. But overall, the game is really good. And what's nice is it seems to be doing really well. It seems to be selling really well. So I'm hopeful this is, thanks in part to the Mario movie, thanks in part to word of mouth, thanks in part to it being on a system that already has 20 million players, a year in. I'm hoping this means this is the start of something new for Star Fox, and it's onward and upward from here. So, but definitely if you're a fan of 64 or if you never experienced it, this is a great way to revisit or jump in, 100%.
Well, that's good to hear. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
It came out last month, so it's going to be a while before we hear anything. And it doesn't strike me as the kind of game to get DLC or some kind of.
I mean, if they wanted to throw some extra multiplayer maps our way with a couple extra objectives, I mean, the multiplayer, I got such it's not 1-to-1 by any means, but I get such knockout city vibes from some aspects of the multiplayer. I would love if they gave us another map or two, drew us a bone as a stopgap to whatever comes next.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, I'm just glad that it was received well overall, and that that team is still working and putting out awesome stuff because they deserve it.
100%.
Really fun.
They're great, and there's such a good history with Nintendo, so they definitely deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn. But yeah, that is Star Fox, and I guess to kind of continue on the game train. Rhythm Heaven Groove.
Man, you missed an opportunity, Angel. Not to cut you off. I just have to say, you missed an opportunity to say to stay in the gaming groove. You went with train. Nothing we're talking about has to do with train. Actually, there's a train in Star Fox. But you should have said staying in the gaming groove.
There is also quite the epic train in Rhythm Heaven Groove.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, that's why you should probably just listen to what he has to say.
I guess I could have.
Yeah. One of my favorite levels, when you get to it, I don't know if you've gotten to a level called Sneezy Moon or Sneezy Moon 2.
Only Sneezy Moon 1 so far.
Damn, well, Sneezy Moon 2, Jesus, like, they went hard on that soundtrack for that song, like, and the train just goes nuts. Like, the train, like, leaves the track, does, like, freaking dual track drifting and everything, like, it's just great. But yeah, Rhythm Heaven, as you may know if you're a longtime listener, is a really special game to me. Rhythm Heaven had zero expectations going into it when we first started on the DS, because that was the first instance that we got here in the States. If anything, it was part of the Touch generation or Touch something games. I forgot what they called them.
Touch. I think it was Touch Generations. That was the line that included Brain Age and Nintendogs and Clubhouse Games and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of like more like, this is a game to just chill and play with your DS. Like, you're not really gonna get anything super exciting here. I mean, that's not really exactly what it means, but that's just kind of like the vibe it gave me. But I don't know what it was about that game, but it was like, well, part of it is like, I guess 3 little things. It's like simplicity. I love that all the games, including Groove, like, are just very simple. They just limit their gameplay to like 2 buttons, sometimes with just 1, and they find really creative ways to make it difficult, to make it consistent, and just to make it fun. And it could be both relaxing and also incredibly stressful, and you basically get to pick when you want to tackle one or the other. And then it's just quirky. Like, you literally can't predict some of the scenarios they're going to put you in and how they're going to try to distract you. And yeah, like I mean, I just mentioned a game called Sneezy Moon, where the premise is you have to wait for a moon to sneeze so that you can jump between a gap. When you could jump through a gap in a fence, because if the moon sees you, it's gonna try to scare you, because for whatever reason in this town the moon just likes to like torment its citizens, and they have to basically dodge it between sneezes. And I mean, that's just kind of rhythm heaven. Like, it's a rhythm game. You could say kind of like Guitar Hero, because you do have notes coming down, metaphorically. You don't ever really see the notes here in the traditional sense, but you have a nice catchy tune. Sometimes it's a song with vocals that you have to keep a rhythm to, and sometimes it's you are the last member of like four round balls with faces doing the a e u e o, and you are the o. So whenever it gets to you in that same pattern, you press A, and that's it. And sometimes they'll jump on the offbeat, sometimes they'll jump right on the beat to try to mix it up, but the songs are just always catchy. And really loving this franchise. Like, depending on the day, it's hard to say whether Rhythm Heaven is my favorite gaming franchise ever, but it's always at least in contention for it. And as such, every Rhythm Heaven that comes out is always met with like a level of what's the word when it's like a anxious like anxious but also tempered expectations, because oh man, I love the last one so much, there's no way the next one is going to even like compare to it. So expectations weren't very high, and admittedly the demo, just from the presentation of the main menu, I was like, okay, this must be like a demo menu, because it's just so bare bones and
I had thoughts on this. Yeah.
like thrown together. And then you play the actual game and it's like, oh god, it's the same. Like, yeah, I mean, if you want to elaborate on this point right now, I think this is like a good part to do so.
Talk about how it's really great that Rhythm Heaven is back, and we'll get to what makes it so great. But man, does this, like, I rarely see a Nintendo game where I'm like, oh, this has a low budget. But this has a low budget. Like, the menus they're very plain, and they're very, they almost kind of look like a beta. And also, like, I'm sure you'll touch on the remixes, but one of the things I always thought was really cool about the remix is in Rhythm Heaven, past Rhythm Heavens, is they always shake up the art style. So basically you do a chunk of mini games, right, and you learn the rhythms, and they kind of meld them all together with a new song, and you have to like jump between the mini games and the different things you're told to do. And there's some visual differences here when you get to those remixes, at least the ones I've done so far, but they are nowhere near as elaborate or ornate or swapping assets as much as they were in past games. And
yeah, like there's maybe like a hand. I mean, do you want to know how many remixes there are total?
Aren't there 11? Isn't there always 11?
No, the first one has 6.
Oh, well,
the second
I don't know where I got that from.
The second one had 10, and no, the second one had 8, and then the third one, the one Fever, had 10. I don't think any ever had 11.
Where'd I get 11?
Rhythm Heaven I don't know, but Rhythm Heaven Megamix had, that one was weird because it didn't really have remixes until it had like these fruit sections where there was like the orange remix, the car remix, the barbershop remix, and the tire remix. And yeah, that's like I think 4 or 5. And then you go to the actual Rhythm Heaven, and then there's like left hand remix, right hand remix, and the final remix. So there's like 7 or 8 in that one. But they are very robust. Like Jesus, like they go crazy on those.
Yeah. These do not.
Wait, so do you want to know how many there are?
Or I guess not 11. How many?
20.
Oh, okay. So that gets them a little credit back. But
to be fair, the last level is just made up of pure remixes. So
interesting.
Like instead of getting like minigame remix, it's remix.
Oh wow.
So yeah, you could say there are like 16 groupings of remixes. But yeah, like only a handful have like actual like dedicated themes, just like previous games. And then there's like a bigger handful that just have like alternate color palette swaps, and then the rest, yeah, like you said, like don't do anything.
And I do
outside of like, And admittedly, like, they do change things up in the remixes themselves. Like, sometimes they'll overlay one minigame over another. Sometimes they'll play with, the extra power of the Switch 2 to, like, kind of render multiple remixes or multiple minigames at once. But
and the Switch One, to be fair, it's
like,
technically a Switch One game. But
but
that's more power than they had before. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that level of like extraness
is missing.
Is kind of gone, and even like the 3DS and even the Wii one, like that isn't in HD, I would say just has a nicer, cleaner presentation. Like this one, if anything, is more comparable to the DS one and the Game Boy Advance one as far as like general, I guess UI aesthetics. But that being said, budget is noticeably lower, but they still managed to do a lot of fun things with it.
I will say, before you get to where it works, one thing I do want to give credit for with this low budget that's kind of related to the menus. I do wonder if part of the reason they didn't work as hard on the menus or the visuals of the remixes is because there's definitely a bigger emphasis on blind accessibility with this game, which is very cool. It turned out over time, the blind community really grew to love, blind gamers at least, really grew to love Rhythm Heaven because it's something they could play, obviously. It's all sound driven. So one can make the case, if Nintendo is catering more to them, which it seems like they are, you can have a voiceover for everything in the game, not just describing what the text on screen, but describing what's happening on the screen. Like you could choose your levels of voiceover. It's all text to speech and automated and stuff. But you can make the case because they kind of were shifting to focusing on that. Maybe they didn't feel the menus had to be as nice. I don't know, but it doesn't. One shouldn't mean the other gets away with having less of a menu. Like, you know what I mean? It shouldn't have made a difference, but I could see a scenario where they have X amount of dollars, and they're like, well, if we make it blind accessible, we can focus less on the menus because we know that community doesn't need to have that aspect anyway, and then we can use that money towards text to speech and yada yada.
Because like they are missed, but there is definitely like a trade-off. It feels like a trade-off.
Yeah, it totally does. It absolutely does. It doesn't feel like it's just missing. It feels like they switched over to something else, but something that also probably required less money because, frankly, the voiceover tech is literally Tamagotchi's life's voice. So they just took a plug-in and shoved it in.
It's funny because like I would say overall, like this game definitely has like a lot of hits. Like there's already like so many catchy tracks that I just love to listen to on repeat, just like all the previous Rhythm Heavens. Like from the very beginning even to now, like I would still regularly listen to the entirety of all the Rhythm Heaven soundtracks. I would say monthly. It kind of helps that Mega Mix kind of combines them all into one, except for a handful of mini games. But like, yeah, they're just really great. They're just really short earworms, and a lot of the vocal tracks are also really great, which also turned out to be, collabs with actual artists in Japan that they hired to make songs for this game, or they licensed some tracks from Japanese artists. Because I was able to find some in karaoke, which is pretty funny. But yeah, like they got like a big artist for this one that did like make like some little waves in the Rhythm Heaven community. I don't know if Ado means anything to either of you.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like they sang a song for one of the remixes, like remix number 8, and people, like I've seen some comments of people going like, "Oh man, I bought like Ado's new single, but it just happened to come with a whole rhythm game or like a whole
that's funny
rhythm game release." Yeah. Because like she's really big, I think, because of One Piece, and I'm sure other stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff here. But not to mention, great mini games, great quirkiness, but the multiplayer really surprised me. It's like they took some lessons from the Wii game and basically just amped it up, because the Wii game has multiplayer. You're basically just playing through the single player mini games with someone else, and you just get scored together, which is fine. And then there was like I think 2 cooperative mini games that are unique to multiplayer in Fever that are fun, but then that's it. On the other hand, Groove has at least like yeah, they had like 30 mini games, 10 different ones that each have different like levels of tiers of difficulty. But that is a lot. Like once you play through the games and you see how difficult they get, Jesus, like they're gonna yeah. Not only will they make for great drinking games just because of like the type of games that they are, and they're also just really fun. But man, they're really hard. Like even just trying to beat one with my brother, like specifically the onion hair pulling one that has been around since the Game Boy Advance days. Like that one's just rough. Um, the other thing, so tons of multiplayer content, but the other thing that they do in this one that is new to Groove is their perfect system. So historically, when you get if you pass a mini game, as in like you performed sufficiently enough to progress past it, you get an okay ranking and then you just move on. But if you get a superb ranking, meaning you did really, really well, maybe like one or two mistakes, you get the superb, you get a little medal. After you get a medal, at some random point in the game will challenge you to like, hey, can you get a perfect on this game? And you get 3 attempts to get a perfect. And that doesn't mean not making any mistakes, because the game doesn't judge a fail state as, like say you're bouncing frogs in one of the mini games. You could still bounce a frog and the frog will like fly up and to the right, but then if you hit the timing just right, the frog will go up into the stratosphere. So like it doesn't count that as like a complete miss, so that's good for getting that superb medal. But for a perfect, that counts as a fail. So your timing has to be a little more accurate. So if you manage to do that, basically not make any mistakes, you get a perfect, which is cool. But in this game, they've introduced basically 3 more tiers of perfect beyond that. So this game is basically gonna probably take me an eternity to beat fully. But the next one is Rainbow Perfect. And that one is, as soon as you get a perfect, you can replay the minigame, and if you get a perfect on it 3 more times, then you get a Rainbow Perfect. And that turns, that gives you like a little rainbow heart. And then if you get the Rainbow Perfect, you could then go for the Night Mode Perfect. And if you get the Night Mode Perfect, that one challenges you to beat the whole game with basically the screen just set to black. Which, in some cases, it might make things easier, because some of the mini games are almost meant to distract you or throw you off with the visuals. But, it's pretty cool. You get a little star next to the heart. And then the final hidden perfect, which you can only obtain after you've gotten a perfect on all 80 mini games, is called the Flow Perfect. And that one is a little hard to explain, but basically there is like a hidden timing window where it could look like you successfully hit it perfectly, but there is a window of error where I guess like it wasn't quite super perfect. Like Rhythm Heaven touched on this in Mega Mix, where every minigame has 1 star moment where you have to hit that note with perfect timing within like maybe like a +5 or -5 like millisecond differential. And if you do that, you get the star. Now they're asking you to do that for every single note in a minigame, which is crazy. But if you do it, then you get like a note symbol next to the minigame, and I think like something else, like something about peak of perfection and some other stuff. But it's gonna look amazing when I eventually get every Rainbow Perfect, every Night Mode Perfect, and every Flow Perfect. And it'll take a while, but I basically love that you have basically these extremes. You can just play through the games with the bare minimum and just enjoy it, or you can, be a masochist and see how long it takes you to beat these. But I mean, all that to say, Rhythm Heaven Groove is easily and by a mile, actually by miles, maybe thousands of miles, like my game of the year so far.
Nice.
I can't really see anything passing it, just because despite being skeptical on it with like, the drop in, I guess I'll say quality, but they still managed to pull it through. Like, it's still a game I can play at any point to relax to challenge myself to just enjoy when I'm not playing it with the music. Like, I could play multiplayer with friends. I could play it at work with coworkers. Like, it just kind of checks every single box that I've wanted from a Rhythm Heaven or just like a game in general. And it's just what makes Rhythm Heaven so special. And I mean, I've even gone ahead and just started like, clipping a lot of these backgrounds to use as like Teams backgrounds. But yeah, I'm at the very least, I'm glad I hit a point where I'm not playing it nonstop, which means I could get back to Expedition 33. I have, last I checked or last I played, I am getting closer to the giant dancing woman. That dungeon is much longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought like, oh, I see her, I'm going to get there. But it turns out there's a lot of like, nope, I got to turn that way, go to flying disc thing that takes me lower, run around, go to another disc thing that takes me lower. I think I've done that at least like 3 times. So I must be getting close, but yeah, that's where I'm at. But yeah, Rhythm Heaven.
I will say on the Rhythm Heaven front, 2 things, because I'm making my way through. I'm only on remix or stage 6 or 7, but we didn't really touch on it. The creativity is still there. I know we're like, oh, the menus, the mini game creativity.
Yeah, Spotlight Dance is so
yeah,
great.
the creativity is still there. The mini games are still really fun and unique.
Wait, so have you gotten to any of the stock image levels?
No, but I saw someone's posted on Twitter, and I was like, because I got spoiled a little bit. What a creative! I don't know if that. I mean, this team has dabbled in stock image stuff with WarioWare before, slightly, but from what I've gathered, incredibly creative use of stock art. Clever way to get around budget restrictions, maybe. Good way to stay within budget.
I won't post any of the. I won't post any of the later ones, but I'll post a.
I mean, I've seen some screenshots. I suspect I've seen the one you're about to post, but
yeah, because this is the first one you run into, just so like Kevin can see just how like kind of weird this looks. But like this is from like a minigame called A is for Effort.
Oh, I've actually not seen this one.
Like,
yeah,
where you just have to hit like the A button when the A flies across the screen when they spell out a word that has an A in it.
But it's just like on top of a picture of a guy drinking a cup of tea. Like a real guy, like from like Shutter.
And these images are so high res, like it's kind of crazy. And they use them in funny ways later on, but yeah.
So like
definitely did not see coming. And all these characters like on the side, like superimposed, like that pig in the top left, like they're all from past Rhythm Heaven games. Like every single image has like a reference to like a past Rhythm Heaven game.
And it is a very creative use of, it's something you haven't seen before, something new for your series. It fits the quirk, and a lot of what's in this game fits the quirk. It is what you expect from Rhythm Heaven, even if it's not in the presentation level that maybe past Rhythm Heavens have had. But that said, 2 things. One, I'm hoping, similar to Star Fox, I feel like we had an interesting parallel here, because Star Fox is like one of my go-to games, and we just talked about a new Star Fox, and then Rhythm Heaven is one of your go-to games, we just talked about a new Rhythm Heaven. And both games are selling really well. I mentioned Star Fox, but in already, but in Japan, sales numbers are out for Rhythm Heaven. Mega Mix sold something like 100, almost 200,000, 150,000, something like that. On 3DS, it had a physical release there, and that's when physical was more dominant than digital in sales. In a more 50-50 split for Nintendo platforms, Rhythm Heaven Groove sold nearly 400,000 in its first week. It did more than double what the last one did. So maybe they'll get a bigger budget for the next game, because it's doing really well. And
I hope so. I mean, I literally bought 3 copies of that game. Wait, 1, 2. Yeah, I bought a copy for a friend, just as like a birthday gift. Like, here's a game I love. Hope you enjoy it. I bought a copy for my brother-in-law. I bought my digital copy for myself. Oh, and then I also bought a Japanese copy for my collection. So I bought 4 copies of that game. So
I guess if every person bought 4
I'm glad it was $40. If it was an $80 game, Jesus Christ.
If it was an $8 game, better production values. But no, if every person that bought Megamix bought 4 copies of this, that would explain the sales bump. But no, it's doing well. So hopefully that means bright things for its future. I will say, if you are playing the game,
it was funny. Most people that there's like only a handful of people at work that I know that really love Rhythm Heaven. And they also bought multiple copies because they all kind of do the same thing where they buy their digital one just to have it, and then like the physical one to just keep.
So actually, in that case, maybe it does have the same audience as Mega Mix in Japan. Everyone bought 2 because that would double. There you go. But no, the one thing I was gonna say,
because it's like she's like, oh, that's like one Mario Kart.
Yeah, yeah, essentially 160 mini games for the price of one Mario Kart, or one Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Why does it say if you do play the game? And I learned this the hard way, so I'm just putting it out there. There have been low rumblings. The audio latency if you use wireless headphones with the Switch is a little worse than most Bluetooth audio latency if you use wireless headphones. I can confirm, yes, it is. Play this thing with wired headphones. Play this thing without headphones. Play this thing not with AirPods.
Oh, that is a big, that's a big thing to know.
Yeah, the latency is notable.
When I play on the,
yeah,
when you play on the TV, you might have to do the calibration once or twice, so that it feels good when you're playing it, because it is noticeable. Like, I think I just like kind of autopiloted the calibration the first time I did it. And then when I got to the third mini game, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not that bad at this game. Like, what's going on here? And then I did the calibration again, this time like being more intentional with it. And then, I was able to one shot every mini game after that like nothing. But it was like, okay, so that's what it was. But not only that, but when you're playing, I play with a Pro Controller usually, and I would honestly say do not play with a Pro Controller. If you can, play with the dual Joy-Cons, because the D-pad does not do the game any favors, because it has more resistance to press down than the A button, which can really mess with your timing with a lot of games that require you to do rapid succession presses of A, D-pad left, A, D-pad left. And yeah, when I do it with double Joy-Con, because there is no D-pad on the left Joy-Con, it's just basically more face buttons, but with the little arrows in them. Like, they're so clicky and fast to press that it's like it just does wonders for them. But all that to say, wired headphones or just handheld mode, like, is amazing.
Handheld's the
like,
best way to play it, is
oh
what
my God, and it looks
determined.
So good. Actually, yeah. Everything we said about, like, sure, like, it doesn't look as nice as maybe some of the other old Rhythm Heaven games or what you would expect from a 2026 game from Nintendo. It still looks so clean.
It pops,
in handheld mode on the screen. Like, Jesus, like, it's one of the few where I'm like, I am perfectly fine playing this handheld, where normally I would want to play everything on a TV. Like, I feel like I'm not losing anything. It is a Switch game, but still, though, it's so sharp, so clean, so colorful, so catchy.
Yeah, I haven't.
Man, it's so great to be in a universe where, like, we have another Rhythm Heaven game, even if it did mean waiting 10 years for it.
I haven't popped it into my Switch OLED, but even on the Switch 2 screen, yeah, it looks really good. I imagine on OLED it would look insane because the colors would be so vibrant. But
well, look at me, I have an OLED.
I didn't mean it like that. I just meant, like, if you have a Switch OLED, like, it's probably worth playing on there if you can, because I'm sure it looks great.
Wait, the Switch 2 screen
is LCD.
Not an OLED
it's an LCD screen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I'll have to see it on your OLED. I'm actually kind of curious. If
I'll bring it over, or one of the times you're over here, I'll bring it to you. Yeah, I'll bust out the OLED. We could try it.
Yeah, maybe when we watch Andrew Garfield's Great Magical Tree Adventure.
Yeah, that's the name of a movie. It's not.
I don't know what it's called.
There's a movie coming out that looks like Narnia crossed with Willy Wonka crossed with like 7 other things, and Andrew Garfield plays the dad in it. And Angel and I saw a trailer for it, and we're like, well, we gotta see what this is about. But it's like trying to be this like big magical adventure. It comes out next month. I forget what it's actually called, but
Andrew Garfield's playing a father.
The Magic.
He plays a dad. Yeah.
Yeah. It's called the Magic Faraway Tree.
Which, let's be honest, not much different than what Angel said in name.
It's honestly not. No.
It's really not.
Well, there's a trailer for you.
Yeah, Ken,
we're starting to get to the age where Andrew Garfield's now playing fathers, huh?
Apparently not the first time.
Yeah. I think I was telling Jason, like, they go into a magical tree. There's a bunch of like wacky shenanigans, but for me, it felt like the biggest suspense of disbelief comes from having to believe that Andrew Garfield's the father.
Apparently, he's played a dad in other movies before this. I looked it up.
Oh, that's right. He played a father in We Live in Time.
Yes, that's why I found when I looked it up.
But was he like an underage teenage dad, or was he like? Well, I'm supposed to believe he's a dad of that age, whatever age he's supposed to be. I keep thinking he's like in his 20s. I know he's not. I think he's older than us.
He is.
I don't know. He's in his 40s.
Yeah, he's in
his early 40s, I think.
What was I gonna say?
Social Network was 16 years ago. Oh my god.
That's wild. And now the Social Reckoning is coming out, which is Social Network 2 without any of the same cast or the same director.
True.
Angel, jot down the timestamp from when we talked about Andrew Garfield's Magical Wonderful Tree, and we'll put the trailer in the show notes for anyone who wants to see it by its real name. Thank you.
And that's
the show.
Everybody.
What happened there? We got real quick. I guess Angel's putting the timestamp down. I will say, well, whatever's happening is happening. Angel made a funny comment or not a funny comment, he made a sincere comment where he's like, I was playing Rhythm Heaven and I was like, my rhythm can't be this off. When I played it with wireless headphones, I was hoping to use the wireless headphones as sort of cover to shield how bad I actually was, but it was so bad that I even noticed how much worse I was and I had to switch over. But Angel's very good with rhythm games. I'm the opposite. I only have one medal in any of the mini games so far, and it's for one where you are kicking a soccer ball. And I put this on my socials, but I just thought it's kind of the one I have a medal in is the one where I noticed. So the cue to hit A to kick the soccer ball is a character saying "at you," like throwing the ball at you. But the voiceover and the cadence sounds like it's John Mulaney sneezing because it goes "achoo, achoo," and I'm like,
That's funny.
yeah. So I can't unhear it. It's John Mulaney, but yeah. So that's my anecdote while Angel was doing whatever he's doing. You still there, Angel?
Yeah, it just took longer than I would like to admit to add this timestamp for Magical Faraway Tree.
Thank you for doing that. And then I got to sneak in my achoo, my horrible John Mulaney impression.
Okay. Well, yeah, I have yet to hear John Mulaney's voice again, but I remember him sounding nasally like that. But I think
achoo.
I guess let's quickly touch on this topic here. RIP physical games ?
Yeah, I put that there. It's really, I mean, that's sort of understating the current scene of the game industry. But really, and I'm sure, Kevin, you have thoughts on this too. Boy, gaming's in a crappy place as an industry right now.
Dude, it's on fire right now.
Yeah, the industry's on fire. It's funny, Nintendo, the outlier in everything, continues to be the outlier here. They have their own problems. They have their own issues. But, they're not laying off thousands. They're not completely torching the goodwill of their fans. Yeah, they raised prices when we didn't want them to. Yeah, they did GameKey card. But, it's next level right now for the rest of the industry. I feel like the ball started rolling when GTA 6 was announced as being a code inbox only. And then the ball really started snowballing when PlayStation, kind of out of nowhere, was just like, by the way, in 2 years, no more physical games. We're not putting out a new system necessarily. We're just cutting off the tap. We're just turning off the flow of physical games. Because I guess PlayStation, unlike some other companies, if you want to make a game for PlayStation, Sony's the one pressing the disc for you. No matter how you are as a company or what your involvement is as a company, it's Sony who physically makes your game onto a disc. And if Sony says we're not going to be pressing those discs, there's no other way to do it. So it's not like Limited Run or one of those guys could be like, we'll just do it ourselves. You can't. The discs are from Sony, and Sony makes the discs. So, yeah, 2028. That's it. And on paper. Well, I'm curious, Kevin, do you have thoughts on any of this stuff? Because I know you've been following it pretty close too.
On the disc side of things, it sucks. It's not going to affect me. Both times that I bought a PS5, I bought the discless version because I go all digital, and I know the dangers of, going all digital. Of a publisher, developer can just take your rights, can just take the rights of you to play that game whenever they want. I understand all those, and that does suck, right? But I totally know the dangers of it when I go all digital, and what this. So it's not going to affect me as much. Mm-hmm. I'm a PC gamer, so pretty much everything that I buy is already all digital.
Right.
Where it really sucks is for the countries that don't have great internet, and it really sucks for the secondhand used game market, and just in general. When this story popped up, you saw a lot of people comparing screenshots of a Walmart or a Best Buy of sorry to use this as an example, Angel, but like God of War Ragnarok on sale for $25 versus the PlayStation Store where it's still a full $70 product, right? Like you're not going to get those sales, no matter how much Sony might say, "Oh no, don't worry, there will be sales." Like, unfortunately, there are just no sales on Xbox or PlayStation. Definitely not on Nintendo's side that have sales as deeply discounted as a Steam sale. There might be a chance.
This is true. Yeah.
There might be a chance that down the line that might be a little bit more true, but it took Steam years and
game
years.
bundles are crazy. But
it took
nothing like that for consoles.
It took Steam years and years and years and years of being its own platform to be able to give you Cyberpunk for $10, or The Witcher 3, which is always on sale. The Witcher 3 is regarded as one of the best games of all time, and you can steal that for $5 like every 3 months or every 4 months that Steam has a new sale. You are never going to get The Witcher 3 for $5 on PlayStation, like ever. On top of that, like, man, if you go all digital, you have to invest in a lot of storage space, and with the current crisis regarding memory, and I'm talking RAM memory, not storage memory, but RAM memory still does play into prices for storage. But games are so big now, like, unless this new console that Sony releases is 2 terabytes, like, you're gonna fit 4 or 5 games on there at a time.
You have to constantly be managing that. Yeah,
and you have to constantly be managing it. Now, add on top of that, data caps and just like I said, like speeds in some of the more rural areas of the world. Like, this really sucks for them. It's not gonna affect me in the slightest, but I really feel for everybody else.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing to me because, like, you raised a really interesting point about accessibility. Like, I've looked at accessibility from one side, which is like the secondhand market, but the point that some countries or some parts, even of this country, because we don't have like standardized broadband speeds and stuff, what a pain to have to. I mean, here's a good example. So GTA 6, like I said, is code in box. They are letting you pick up your physical code in box a week before the game comes out just to make sure everyone has time to be able to download it and to not crash their servers. But, like, that's such an interesting flip of where it used to be like everything was very hard street day because you didn't want anything leaking. That's like, no, please take your download codes. We'll lock the software, but you may need a week to be able to successfully download this. So here you go. But it is kind of like an interesting, I don't know if it's a bell curve or what, but there's like these two ends of the spectrum where, like, gaming's going to be a lot less accessible for people because of this. One is getting the games stored, getting the games downloaded, and the other is the cost, which you kind of touched on. But, like, and I want to give Nintendo credit for this, actually, because there's 2 areas that at the time they did it, it felt kind of like, but looking at what PlayStation is doing, leapfrogging, and there's rumor, like, Xbox is apparently testing something called disk to drive, which sounds like it's setting up to be able to back up all your discs onto a future Xbox that maybe won't have discs. So it seems like everyone's moving this way, but, like, 2 things Nintendo actually did that are kind of savvy in hindsight. As much as we don't like game key cards as the idea of helping with game preservation because you only have a small sliver of a game on a cartridge, you still own that cartridge, and that cartridge is still the key. So if you want to sell that cartridge, if you want to give that cartridge to a friend, if you want to do whatever, you can do that. If you need to sell the game to use some of that money to buy your next game because for whatever reason, budget-wise it doesn't work for you, or you're like a high school or whatever it is, that mechanism is still there that lets you kind of flip a game. You can't do that if it's all digital. That mechanism is there to share games with friends or share games with family members. Can't do that with all digital. Game key card actually kind of resolves that in a way that Sony seems to be just skipping right over. Similarly, we all kind of like whatever when it was announced, virtual game cards for Switch and Switch 2, where Nintendo basically made it, if you have a digital copy, you can like loan it to someone. The only way I'm aware of where you can loan a game on another platform is by logging into that person's entire PSN or Xbox Live account and doing it that way. But Nintendo actually having a system in place where I can, like, it's only one game at a time, I believe, and there's, different limitations, but I can basically say, hey, Kevin, do you want to play Rhythm Heaven? I downloaded it, hypothetically, but here, have it, and you can just use it.
That is a thing.
Like, you have to be in the same family group, and there's all these things. But, like, Nintendo, for all the talk of Nintendo being anti-consumer about a lot of stuff they do, they're being very pro-consumer about this digital transition. And what sucks, I think, is PlayStation is just making this assumption, and I think Xbox will probably follow, of just like, listen, on a spreadsheet, 80% of our sales are digital. Those 20% will just get on board. We don't need to justify it. We don't need to convince them. They will just do it. And we don't need to make anything easier for them. They'll just do it and we'll reap the benefit of the extra cost. But also while we do that, by the way, we're yanking 500 movies that you bought from our store off your console that you thought you owned, but actually you don't and we don't have the rights to anymore. It's like there's like, it's just such different, like the way these companies are handling it is very interesting and how different it is. And it kind of sucks that it seems like a lot of how PlayStation's approaching the digital migration is so aggressively business first and not consumer first, and how Xbox is approaching a lot of their layoffs, which obviously, again, on a spreadsheet, there's reasons they have to do it. But the way they're doing it, the way they're gutting companies like id and stuff is very like business first and not like gaming, like not respecting the space or respecting what these teams have achieved. Because they're all, small line items on this huge spreadsheet of cuts that Microsoft needs to do. Like they're it's just interesting to see how out of nowhere gaming's in this like, not race to the bottom, but like the bottom line thing we're seeing where everyone has to keep pleasing their investors more and more and more and more, and it's getting more and more aggressive in every company. Like it's hit gaming like a wall all of a sudden. And it just kind of sucks. Because there is an art to video games. There's supposed to be an art as well as a business, and it just sucks that that's been completely buried in some of these decisions. Granted, physical versus digital isn't like affecting the art of it, but it's affecting the accessibility to that art. So, like you can't rent games. You can't, like museums will display art. You go to a bookstore, you can still like get a book, like or look at a book in a library. Like there's no equivalent for gaming. So at least with the used game market,
you can rent video games at a library. But
you can't once they're all digital.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying is like there's, but you're right, you can right now, which is great. But my point is like there's no, every other entertainment industry moved digital but kept physical. And it's weird that it seems like, especially PlayStation right now, maybe Xbox in the future, maybe Nintendo ultimately. But it seems like right now PlayStation's like, we don't care about that. And that just strikes me as so weird given everything about gaming. Like, streaming took over music, but vinyl sales are blowing up. Ebooks were a huge thing with Kindle, but bookstores still exist. Netflix and streaming have tons of shows, but even Netflix puts out Blu-rays or DVDs ultimately, I think Blu-rays, of their stuff. Like, it's weird that Sony doesn't see that opportunity. There is, in that 15 to 20% of people who weren't buying digital based on their spreadsheet and their stats and their financials from last year, where I'm pulling this numbers from, based on that is 15 to 20% of people that you're basically like, suck it up, we don't care. When you could, if you want to make money off them, easily be like, all right, well, digital's this price and physical, it's going to be a little more, but if you really want it, we'll do it. At least until they get rid of a disk on the system, a disk drive on the system. But like, I hate to say it, make it $100, throw in some physical item, make it like a collectible, tangible thing in the way that vinyls have become for music. Like, there's an audience for that that's actually growing. There's a backlash among like Gen Z and Gen Alpha of like not having an all-in-one device like an iPhone, but actually like having an iPod, having vinyls, like getting tangible things that represent your interests. And Sony not reading those tea leaves and just quadrupling down on like, well, it's all digital everything, we don't care. It's especially mid-generation is so weird to me. Like, I don't know. It's just such a weird choice. So that's my little rant, but I don't know how you and I mean, actually, Kevin, you made a good point that like you're mostly on PC and you're mostly digital, and a lot of people are that way. Another caveat we have to carve out, I think, is there is a section of gaming that is growing, that is influencing that 85% that PlayStation had, or 80%, whatever it was. Games as services, live services, like games that evolve, like those obviously can never really truly be a physical product. Fortnite is never going to truly be a physical product, but it makes up Roblox, Minecraft. You can get a disc or get a cartridge that has a certain amount of the game on it, but 6 months later it's going to change. I mean, the example I keep thinking of when I was thinking about this is Pokemon Go just turned 10 this weekend. They actually did this whole cool 10th anniversary thing in Times Square where they recreated the original trailers, like Mewtwo moment in Times Square at the end of the trailer. They did it for real. They took over all the billboards. It's pretty cool. But I think about like what Pokemon Go was in July 2016, and I think about what Pokemon Go is in July 2026 is like barely the same game. So there is, and it's one of the most popular games on mobile. So there is definitely certain games, certain types of games that would never work as physical. But I get the feeling when Sony's like 80% of our game purchases or 80% of our game revenue is from digital sales, they're including those in there. And that's not fair. And that's lame to justify, a future Wolverine game or whatever only being digital because, well, Fortnite generates us a ton of money as a third-party partnership, and that's only digital, so you should buy your single-player one-off game that you want to be able to sell again. Nope, you have to buy that digital now. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's the whole thing is just, I feel like they're missing a key part of their market and not understanding it, and it seems like that key part of the market has been very vocal in pointing out they feel like they're being missed. So I'm hoping, I don't think Sony's going to reverse course, but I'm hoping it doesn't go quite as fast into all digital as it seems like it is. And thank you, Nintendo, for still doing physical to some degree. Real quick for point of reference, Nintendo, they're at 54% digital, 46% physical as of their last financial report. So we have a long way to go before Nintendo goes full digital. And I think part of that is, and I think why we see game key cards and why we see virtual game card systems and not just Nintendo doing what Sony's doing is because physical is such a bigger piece of Nintendo's business. Parents, retail partnerships, people going to get gifts for people at those retailers is, for Nintendo in particular, it's been such a bigger focus for them. They do so much more in-store marketing and so many more retail partnerships and stuff. And I don't know if you noticed, anytime there's a new Switch 2 game coming out from Nintendo, they put the demos of it first at retail kiosks, Target, Best Buy, Walmart. Splatoon Raiders is currently there. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book was there prior to it being on the eShop, which just happened this past week. Going all the way back to Donkey Kong Bonanza, when the Switch 2 first came out, they are very consciously driving foot traffic into stores in return for getting prime shelf space. If you go to an electronics section at any Target, it is decked out in Mario stuff right now. All of them for the 40th anniversary. All the Targets have it. I've seen it at least 4. They do special, even if they're selling gift cards, they do them in special collector's Mario 40th anniversary tins. They're really understanding there's a physical component to their business. And PlayStation doesn't have that in the same way, which maybe is partly why they're willing to make the jump to digital. But because Nintendo's is so strong, I also think it means we're going to get more physical games from Nintendo for the foreseeable future. Which, yay, as someone that likes his physical games, yay. So anyway, that now I'm off my soapbox. But yeah, this whole thing has been really crazy to watch unfold.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that makes me really appreciative of growing up in the generation that we did, where, we basically saw the inception of game. Well, we didn't see the inception of games.
We saw the mainstreamification and modernization of the industry.
Yeah, where there was a point where it was like, oh, this is really cool, all digital. Remember the PSP Go?
Yeah.
I guess you could say that was really ahead of its time.
It really was, yeah. And it didn't do well because of that. And
yeah. It's funny because I personally just looking at Nintendo, or in general, if it's a multiplayer game, I love to have it digital because typically my console ends up being used as kind of the party console of sorts, or there are just games I really, if we have a gaming night where we're playing online with you and some other friends, we typically do switch between games relatively quickly. Within the hour, we're changing between another game or two, unless it's Mario Kart or Smash Brothers. And having them digital is just way more convenient. I'm never going to forget, the perfect infomercial that we created at E3 many years ago where I think
I know
we were
what you're
playing...
talking about, yeah.
I forgot what game we were playing, but I was like, and it's switch to Mario Kart. 2 seconds later, I'm like, all right, I'm in there. What about you? Oh, hold on. Let me grab my cartridge. And then you're digging through I don't know how many cartridges
I had a case. It was my
needed.
Switch in its usual case, which has pretty much all my games. I have a Switch in a case, and I have a game folio that has all the games. Or no, this was before the folio. So it was all in one case, but I have in a little pouch in the middle of the case. And yeah, I was like, let me get Mario Kart. This was, I think, a year and a half into the Switch being out. So a lot of games at that point. And it was like the black and white freeze frame infomercial where everything just goes flying and the game cartridges are all over the floor.
Yeah, it almost seemed like if this is too like comically perfect of like a scenario where it's like, oh no, I dropped all my games, now I have to pick them up. I'm still waiting. And like, all right, I found it. Let me put it in.
And by that point, we were up to the demo.
Okay, now we're. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right.
We didn't even play.
Then, and then we're about to play, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't download the update." So then, like, all right, let's switch back to this other game. So then I switched back right away, and you're like, "Oh," and then at that point, we're like, "All right, we're closer to the line."
Another great example of Nintendo still thinking about the fact that their business is heavily physical. You can send through local wireless updates. If you have a game with an update and your friend's playing and doesn't have the update, you can beam them the update. They added that after our incident, probably because they overheard us having the incident because we were in their booth. But
it makes
no,
sense. They're probably heavily monitoring the booth for like, oh my god, this is it. This is our use case.
Yeah, but it's.
They probably have a picture of you, like, what would Jason do? And let's make sure we avoid that.
But I will say, no, seriously though, to Nintendo's credit, it's not really to their credit. It's just the reality that their business is different than everyone else in the game industry. But like. They were Star Switch 2 generation. Everything was really pricey. Everyone complained. Mario Kart $8 dropped the price. But like we're now at the point where they're the only company, I think, doing variable pricing for physical versus digital. Only game company that does it because they recognize that there is a demand for physical.
It feels like they like. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like just from my limited paying attention of Nintendo. It feels like they released Mario Kart for 80. I'm sure there's been another game for 80 after that.
Fortunately, Fire Emblem will be.
From what I've seen,
Fire Emblem will be 80.
Okay, but at least until that one comes out, it felt like they're like, we're making games $80 now, and then suddenly they haven't made a game past $50, and everyone else is like going like, all right, cool, that gives us the okay to go 80, and Nintendo just kind of like, yeah, suckers. Now we're like lower falling.
So there have been games that have been past 60. Bonanza was past 60.
Baited.
But no, if you do some of the Switch 2 editions with the DLC baked in, it's past 60. But especially starting with Yoshi forward, they were doing digital's $10 cheaper or physical's $10 more expensive, depending on how you look at it.
Why can't they do retroactive? Like, as much as I love Fever,
I have no idea.
Don't they?
I have no idea.
That one feels like it should be 60 or 70.
I could not tell you why, but going forward, at least they seem to be very attuned to it. And I do think it speaks to them being an outlier. Like I said, they have a bigger physical presence. Another thing I didn't mention, so we have all these layoffs happening at Microsoft, and they're basically resetting Xbox. And Kevin, Kurt, and I talked a little bit about that whole thing last episode. It seems like they're kind of rudderless, and I still get that vibe, even in their announcement. We're resetting Xbox, but we're going to have 1 billion players. You can't trim 3,200 jobs while simultaneously thinking 1 in 8 people on the planet will be playing your games. That's an insane statistic. It's an insane statistic. It's also Phil Spencer's statistic. But yeah, what were you going to say?
It's sort of insane how we had that whole discussion with Kurt, and it's quite literally gotten worse since.
Significantly worse. Yeah. I feel so bad for. Did you hear that at Obsidian? They're still. So they cut Obsidian. They're focusing much like Activision did on just the big franchises. So like Obsidian now is going to do Fallout and that sort of thing. And all the smaller games will fall wayside. And credit to Xbox for some of the studios, they spun them out into being their own thing with their own owners and they didn't just shut them down. They gave Double Fine back as an independent studio to itself. The people that are making Hellblade get to have their own studio and be their own thing. Like they're not just like shutting things down, which would have been like the worst case scenario. But it is interesting that so they're focusing on like these core franchises they claim. And then I read the other day, Obsidian was working on an unannounced Avowed sequel, and apparently they're still working on it. So officially they're working on Fallout, or they will be. And officially, as far as Microsoft's concerned, they're a Fallout studio or a Fallout support studio. In the background, this team that's been working on Avowed is continuing on the side to work on Avowed in hopes that someone at Microsoft will be like, oh, there's actually something here, and we're going to come to our senses and realize we need a lot of games. And we need a lot of people making a lot of games if we're trying to hit 1 billion people. But yeah, it's crazy how much different Xbox has become in just the last couple weeks. The other thing I think is really interesting about Xbox, and I'll get back to what I was saying about Nintendo being an outlier. The other thing I think is interesting about Xbox is that I feel like they're making moves that fall into one of 2 camps. One is I noticed Asha kept making these comments about, and also it's interesting how Asha very quickly became the Reggie of Xbox. Like it's just her first name. over at prior it was always Phil Spencer. No one was just like Phil, but it's always just Asha. Anyway, I noticed that she made a reference to like the creativities of players. She keeps making these references that sound like they're trying to like Robloxify. Like I wonder, I see two paths here. Either they're trimming the fat on a lot of developers, but they're hoping to hit 1 billion players because they think they can turn Minecraft into Roblox. Because she's making these references about like creating in our games or creating our players creating, and then she promoted the head of Minecraft to be the head of like a lot of Xbox. And if they're trying to do a thing where it's like Fortnite or Islands or Roblox things where it's just like, oh, the players will make the content and we'll just maintain the game as the platform for it to happen. I have no idea if that's going to work in this era of live services falling apart left and right. Even Fortnite's struggling apparently these days. Like it's still huge, but like they had to do layoffs in March. I don't know what the future of that is, but it's an interesting way to...
Well, here I thought they had more money than they know what to do with.
No, they had to scale back. They're actually about to do a big gaming battle passing. It's going to be a bunch of collabs with a bunch of different game studios to try and like drum up new attention. It's rumored to be like Mega Man and Persona and all these other franchises at once. But anyway, what I was getting at is if Xbox's strategy is like, oh, well, we won't develop as much. We'll just make a platform. We'll make Minecraft into a Roblox, and then the players will do our work for us and make games. Maybe there's something there that has some longevity because Minecraft is a huge thing. But the other, so that's option A. Option B is they're saying all the right things and trimming all the right fat to potentially sell Xbox. I've heard like The Verge speculate on this. I have no idea who they would, and I'm sure The Verge isn't alone. I have no idea who they would sell to. Like Tencent seems like an obvious choice, but they're pulling back from gaming. But they're like trying to be like a Microsoft level involvement in gaming at one point. I don't know who it would be, but it is the weird one outlier of the Microsoft machine. Microsoft's all about AI. Microsoft's all about like, their Azure like cloud services, doing stuff in the cloud, like very not what Xbox is. Windows 11 even, like, yes, it's consumer facing, but it's not in the way that Xbox is. And they're trying to make it more and more like this AI thing. And then you just have this non-AI, anything related to anything Xbox division. So maybe they're going to flip Xbox, or maybe they're hoping to trim the fat to make it attractive. I don't know, but it's really weird that we somehow know less about the Xbox strategy now than we did when we talked to Kurt. You're right, Kevin. But anyway, the thing I was saying about Nintendo being an outlier, sorry, I kind of got on a tangent. Going back to that, it kind of is circumstantial. I know I was saying like they have a bigger physical presence just because of their audience, but also like they were very smart to step away from all this back in the day. They don't have the crazy game budgets that at the scale that these other guys do. And they also haven't had to do layoffs like these other guys do. In fact, they snuck into their general shareholder meeting last month a little blurb. Well, someone asked them, so they didn't really sneak it in. But in the Q&A, they point out they actually gave raises to their employees this year. And they, I read, have one of the highest retention rates of any company in Japan. And they are expanding their teams with a new building for research and development and game development that's opening in a few years. So another example of just how much of an outlier Nintendo is compared to the rest of the industry. As it spirals down, Nintendo's doing just fine. So it's very interesting. Just in a way, they share the same space. In a way, they're all competing for everyone's attention. Attention economy. Everyone's ultimately competing for your attention, whether it's games or Netflix or TikTok or whatever. But Nintendo seems to have found a way to not be part of this downward spiral that the rest of gaming seems to be on. So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, get in or get out, as they say.
Yeah. As Nintendo said.
No, get in and get out.
Get in, yeah.
There you go. Well, I think this is a good chance to jump mediums completely from something. Well, I guess it still can be digital, but I'm actually curious about these two topics: Chainsaw Man manga finale and JJK. Can you elaborate on Chainsaw Man first, Kevin?
Why?
Like, is it actually worth me sticking around? Because I don't have the docket open.
Is that something that's on the docket?
It is.
Wait, weren't these on a past docket? How are they back? Did you not talk about the manga finale before for Chainsaw Man?
I did.
And did you talk about JJK3? They were not. This is weird. So I'm looking at the docket too. They were not here 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago.
They were definitely here since the beginning.
Not on mine.
I have been planning.
Those were not.
They just popped in.
I don't know what to tell you. So basically, you talked about these already. It sounds like
yeah, in the past
2 episodes ago. Yeah.
Well, yeah. In the episode, I probably wasn't
No,
on.
no. The one you were on.
Fine.
2
You were
episodes
definitely
ago.
on these.
Ooh, the truth comes out. Angel, it's okay. It was 2 months ago. It's been a minute since you've been here.
Well, then let me. All right. Well, that's fine. We'll go to movies, but because it's been so long, I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong in these assessments that are just living in my head because they most likely came from you. Chainsaw Man manga finale was
Not good.
disappointing. Disappointing and not good. JJK season 3.
The story is incredibly mid, but oh my god, is it a beautifully directed piece of action anime.
Damn. Pretty much what I was about to say, but not in those nice words. I was going to say story sucked, but animation was amazing, or fights were great.
Oh, the story continues. The story goes downwards following this.
Like since season 2, it's a shame because it sounded like JJK had like a really nice upward spiral early on. I don't know if it was throughout all of season 1, but at the very least, people were like, "Whoa, great action, great premise. Let's see where it goes."
Oh boy,
And then
does it go nowhere? It just becomes fight after fight after fight after fight after fight with very little character pathos, very little character development. And there's people out there that believe that JJK is well written. Like, no, it's written, okay? You can follow it, but to call it well written is mind boggling. And I love JJK as like just an entire thing. I love it, but I'm not going to pretend that it's Shakespeare. Like some of these people online, they're insane.
So would you say JJK and Chainsaw Man are in a way comparable in that they have really strong starts and just kind of you get diminishing returns later on plot-wise, but the action is still great?
There's nothing that touches... In JJK, there is nothing that touches how great Chainsaw Man Part 1 is as a whole. Part 2 definitely has its problems, including its ending, but like I will still enjoy it. Like, especially maybe because I read Part 2 week to week as opposed to just the binge that I did for Part 1. But maybe that's what I'll do. I will like read Part 2 in its entirety to see if that changes my mind.
Yeah. Well, in that case, then I do have to ask, and you'd have to reveal now if you want to save it for a later episode, but are you watching or reading anything new currently, or is it just, new seasons of already existing shows?
I just saw the first episode of The Ghost in the Shell, which is the new adaptation of Ghost in the Shell by Science Saru, the studio behind Dandadan. The first episode was fantastic, amazing. The art style follows the manga closer than the movie that came out in, I think it was 99 or in 2000. That movie's very iconic. I haven't seen it, but the art style for the show...
That's all I've seen of Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, the art style for this follows the manga's like more cartoony art style, plus the feel... Like, it just feels... From what I've seen of that movie, this feels like it's completely like own identity. It was really good, Angel. I suggested it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and that's great to hear because, I'm all for things getting readapted as long as it feels like it gives me a reason to rewatch it. Like, I don't want something to just be a carbon copy of something old, which is why I wasn't completely against the Vash the Stampede remake.
Oh, yeah.
Until it seemingly went downhill at some point. I mean, visually or just like, what it was doing with the animation or the action and just seemingly taking full advantage it had a 3D camera was awesome. But then I just stopped hearing about it and I'm like, shoot, like what happened to it? Like Studio Orange is supposed to be one of the good ones.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Science Saru is now definitely my favorite animation studio by far. Like all their products come out so good.
Yeah.
While we're talking things that Kevin's watched, Kevin, the Bear finale, the final season.
Yeah.
Thoughts? What do you think of it?
I loved it.
Same.
Loved it. It's probably my second favorite season. You know what? Season 1 and season 5, like they can go toe to toe.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But I loved it. As somebody who didn't like season 4, or whose least favorite season was season 4, it was a great bounce back.
It really felt like it captured the vibe of season 1 really well.
Yeah,
I agree. It was interesting too. Like it captures so much of it, but it's a lot like it feels a lot cleaner this season. I mean, they have a cleaner restaurant, everything's like, but even like they swapped out all the needle drops for like this pulsing synth soundtrack. It's funny because I forgot about the needle drops, but then as we were watching, I said to Rachel, like, when did I love synthy stuff, as you guys know. So I was like, when did the soundtrack who did they bring on? I don't remember it being like this. Like, what? This is great. And then I realized it's because they took out what was previously the sonic identity of the show, which were all those needle drops.
Am I insane? I could have sworn somebody said that Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack.
Did he really? That's crazy. It's very Zimmer-esque.
Like, I can't find it anywhere though.
I mean, it's in his style.
I remember hearing that. I read somewhere that it was Hans Zimmer, or maybe that was just some random on Twitter. But I could have sworn.
Or maybe someone was like, "Why does it feel like it's Hans Zimmer instead of it being the old?" Yeah,
and like I actually haven't the Bears season 5 soundtrack.
But yeah, I thought the season was really strong. It felt like it went back to basics. Like some of the strongest episodes of that show are definitely like the ones outside the restaurant, you know, like Fishes or Forks or those episodes where it's like the family drama and stuff. And the prequel they did a few weeks ago that came out kind of out of the blue, Gary or whatever it was called. Yeah. That, is that side of the bear, and that episode was done well. But the show is at its strongest when it's like just restaurant drama. And man, it is all in like one day, the whole season. It's really well done. I really liked it.
But it's restaurant drama, and it's also like inner character drama too.
Oh,
right?
For sure.
Like,
yeah.
As opposed to the last 2 seasons that have definitely just been way more focused on the characters, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the show is definitely at its best when it's the restaurant and the characters.
Exactly.
Dealing
and the
with their own internal struggles. The only thing that I found weird was the only part of the season that sort of ticked me off a bit was what's his name? The pastry chef. Marcus's sudden outburst towards Luca, like, sort of fell out of nowhere.
It felt like it was definitely building from Luca hiding that he was leaving, but the way it escalated when nothing actually escalated was like it kept escalating for Marcus, but we didn't see anything that would have pushed it further, unless it was just the normal stressors of the rest of the restaurant. But he and Luca were in a pretty quiet corner making desserts compared to everyone else. I guess when someone falls through the roof, that would be a little stressful. But
sure, and this season brought back the anxiety that we had been missing.
Yeah, that's really what it was.
As the situation around the retaurant just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And even through service, like, stuff was happening. Just a great season.
So well done. And everyone was just firing on all cylinders and like and I'm just gonna say, I know the show's supposed to be about Carmi. I would say Richie had the best character arc of anyone on that show.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Richie
it's really his
is
show.
easily the best character of
hands down.
The series, spoiler alert, ending with a Richie scene. Like, that just tells you everything that you really need to know.
Yeah, exactly. And it was great that they managed to, again, spoiler alert, I'll wait a beat.
Is Richie the linguini-looking character?
Richie, what? Linguini. Richie is the guy that's also in Fantastic Four.
The guy that looks like the main character from Ratatouille.
No, that's Carmi. That's the... Richie is the guy
I never
who is
thought
the
of
thing
him as the Ratatouille chef.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Man, I've never thought of him as the Ratatouille chef. That's funny. There is actually in episode 1 a Ratatouille reference. Episode 1 of the new season. So maybe they know he looks like him too. But I was going to say, small spoiler, but I did really like how they managed to bring back literally, I think, everyone for that final scene. Yeah. So it was a good series overall. Good season, good series.
I think season 4 sort of... I don't know, man. Season 1 and 2
are the peak ones.
Are peak, but not only are they peak, and I think they're like absolute perfect seasons of television.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I would put this definitely lives in my top 10. I don't know if I'm ready to put it up right next to like Succession or Mr. Robot.
Oh, yeah, no. I think if they kept the not quality, but they kept the cadence, for lack of a better way to put it, of season 1 and 2 in 3 and 4, it could have maybe gotten close, but right now it's just a very good... I mean, the thing is, even Mr. Robot had its weaker seasons, but I think The Bear meandered a little too much for a season and a half.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think that
they should have just... Because season 3 got split into season 3 and 4,
Yeah, and I was gonna say I think partly because they basically stretched it out unnecessarily. Because even season 4, like it ends and it's kind of like, oh, like it feels like I was just sitting down for the meal. Like they brought the bread out, they brought the appetizer, and then they're like, all right, main course, you're gonna have to wait a year. And I'm like, what? Like that's kind of how season 4 felt. Like it built up and then just like stopped, and I still was hungry. But season 5 did feel like that main course. So if they were able to condense down season 3 and 4 to just be like, it's like when you're sitting at a restaurant too long, you just kind of want to get to back to the good stuff, back to the best part. So
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, sounds like wait, so it's done.
It's
That
done.
was it. It's the bare finale. We're not going to get a spin-off show of Chef B or Chef
I doubt
A
it.
or
I doubt it.
I would absolutely watch like a Luca spinoff of him.
Oh, Luca would be amazing. Luca's such a great. I can't. This whole thing that everyone's like, oh, I manifested this. Like the dude who plays Luca literally manifested becoming that core of a character in the show, and he's great. But he apparently was a fan and like requested it, and they kind of like slowly built him up to being one of the best characters, hands down. I'd watch Luca in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Well, good to hear. It does actually make me glad to hear that it's done and that it was done with 5 seasons.
Because you never have to hear us talk about it again?
No, because that means that it's not, it's not a one piece. It's just done.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can just jump in and just like,
Yeah.
be like, oh, there's a final. Because I'm guessing, and I will actually say, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but like I'm guessing it's like around like 10 episodes per season. So sure, I'm guessing each episode is about an hour long.
You don't
But
want
that
correction?
is not. No, because maybe just on the episode length.
They're 30.
But don't tell me how long.
There's 30 episodes. They're 30 episodes. They're 30 minutes.
Yeah, they're 30 minutes. It goes by fast.
Wait, 30-minute episodes?
Yeah.
Not that there are 30 episodes in a season.
No.
Correct.
30-minute.
That was a
Actually,
mistake.
the
Okay.
first episode, season 5, was only
Is
22
it-
minutes. So they're pretty short.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was gonna say like, don't tell me how many episodes. Basically, and this mainly stems from how I've been really enjoying Only Murders in the Building. I don't think I know I've talked about it on this podcast before, but maybe not up to where I ended up. But not knowing how many episodes there were, yeah, sure, it was kind of consistent each time, but I really tried not to look at like, oh, how many episodes I'm at from the last one, or I don't even want to know when the last one is, because then it sets up expectations, and then especially if you know like, oh, this is the last episode, they have to wrap things up, so then it kind of preps your brain a little. And
I get what
when
you
I
mean.
don't have to worry about that, like that's when I can really like just dive into the drama and just really like flow with it. And the bear does sound, like it does it scratches some curiosity notes that I'm sure I'll hit at some point. But
You're not alone, by the way.
I'm
Rachel
glad to
is the
hear.
same way with episode counts. She doesn't like to know the episode counts. I like to know just to kind of know what the time commitment is, but I don't like read the descriptions
Well,
or
that's
the
the thing,
titles or
because
anything.
like One Piece is a weird situation because there's just so many. But even that show, maybe I'll give a chance at some point. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many episodes they have, how long it is, because I'll give a show a shot, and if it doesn't hook me by a certain point, and I do have, I feel like, generous leniency, like then, I'm just going to drop it, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. Or I'll be like, this grabs me just enough to just keep going, and I'll commit to it.
Or you'll do that thing you do
But
with
I-
Marvel shows where you just watch the last episode and try and piece together what happened.
That's
Although you haven't
different
done
because,
that in
like,
years, to be fair. But
Yeah, but to be fair, like, those were like, I am not interested at all, so I don't mind just looking at the end and just like, fine. Like, I wasn't gonna watch them either way. So this was, if anything, I literally just made like a fun activity out of it. The one time I regretted doing something like that, I'm gonna do a weird thing, was when I decided to watch the seasons of South Park when they decided to be very sequential, and I watched them in reverse order. And that was very confusing because, as you know, it's like, oh, the episode ends with something established, but then the previous episode begins with that thing not being established and kind of building up to it. And sometimes it was easy to track, and there were a couple times where it was like, wait, what? Like, it gets, if anything, it gets more confusing the further you get in. But if anything, it made for a great experience of just like, I'm not doing that again, but I'm kind of glad I did because it was just so weird. Like, some jokes still worked because it's South Park, but it was during a time where it was very serialized that it also made it for the worst time to do that.
Yeah, you picked the wrong season on that.
Yeah, honestly, if it was any other season, it would have been fine. Because, like, or if I do that with Sunny, it doesn't matter. But
Angel, you made a comment about when you do weird things. I have to ask, you did a weird thing. I opened our show docket, and you took notes on our comments on the Bear finale, but then you, like, editorial. First of all, I don't know why you took notes, but that's okay. But then you kind of editorialized them. For example, Kevin, you aggressively think it was Hans Zimmer that composed. You didn't just think it; you aggressively thought. But also, I'm just gonna read it directly. Kevin likes more substance as provided by character drama. Marcus' outburst to Luca felt unmotivated and killed his boner. That's a real thing you wrote. And also you wrote, Kevin thinks season 1 and 2 are perfect seasons of television, though nothing compared to Paw Patrol. No one said Paw Patrol. What is this? What is this? Were we supposed to see that? Caught him in the act. What? Was that for us to see, or was that notes for yourself to watch the show, but you put it in the wrong place? And why Paw Patrol? I just have a lot of questions, really.
You can see them getting less accurate as you go down.
Somewhat, yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, I tried to be. One, this keyboard really sucks. Not the one Kevin made me. The one Kevin made me is amazing. This is a, I don't know, like a $10 keyboard I got that's like Bluetooth for the iPad. I wonder if I can somehow connect my nice keyboard that Kevin made me to my iPad so I could use that. Because that would be amazing. Because there's basically like a half-second delay.
I'm just going to point out you have not answered the question. You are like bobbing and weaving and talking about keyboard. I'm also going to share 2 more quotes to give you a chance to think about how you want to answer it. Quote number 1. Jason loves when it's restaurant drama, loves it being basic as the he is, referring to me, excuse you. And 2, at one point you make a comment about how I thought the show started to meander when Shauna got pregnant. No Shauna, no pregnancy ever came up. Just pulling things out of a hat. Although, I mean, there's
Sugar did get pregnant.
And Shauna is pretty close to Sugar, but neither of us said her name. I don't know where he got Shauna
That's a good point.
and where he got the pregnancy, which is maybe some weird psychic thing that Angel is slowly revealing to us, his secret mutant power.
I was about to read the Marcus one.
I did read it earlier.
Oh, no, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, you did. But, I don't know. I wanted to prove, I guess, that like, oh, hey, I'm paying attention. I'm taking notes.
But half these are wrong.
I get... They're mostly right.
They're mostly right. They're more embellished than anything.
I mean, yeah, like, had lots of needle drops really tickled Jason's pickle. Kevin thinks aggressive. Oh, yeah.
Well, ironically, we were saying it didn't have a lot of needle drops this season, so you got that one a little off, but that's okay.
Which apparently Hans Zimmer produced the soundtrack.
Oh, so he basically...
He didn't compose, but he produced the...
So basically, someone sent him the audio, and he went, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay. But, it was just I haven't seen The Bear, so I guess it was just my way of entertaining myself.
I'm just saying it was a lovely surprise when I opened the docket just now. I was like, what?
Well, if it brought you some joy, then that makes me happy.
More joy than anything else this episode, I think.
Because I know it's going to be a race. But I say let's just jump to our last 2. And not to speed it up, but...
Rapid fire.
Let's rapid fire. So, it has been a busy last 2 months. At least for me, because I haven't been on this podcast for a while. Not for not being busy, but I have seen 7 movies in theaters since then. I believe Jason has also seen...
I've seen
7 movies.
5? I've come close, but you might be a little ahead of me. But yes, we both had...
time.
How many have you seen, Kevin?
Wait, what?
Not in theaters, but I have seen recently...
I swear, if he's like 27, I'll be like, whoa.
Well, I mean, if we're counting movies we've seen, there's more that I've seen. Because I've also just randomly watched Toy Story 2.
I'm
3.
talking
That doesn't
strictly
seem-
new movies that I haven't seen before.
And
Oh,
also,
haven't seen
randomly
before.
watching the other Toy Stories right when the fifth one comes out does not seem that random. It seems like there's perhaps some relation there.
Since Obsession, I have logged an additional 14 movies into my Letterboxd.
Well, Kevin wins.
Damn. All right.
So rapid
And to be
fire
fair, I was-
of all 14, go.
Yeah, and it can't even say like oh, and these are like movies that they didn't pay to watch because we technically didn't pay to watch any of these.
No, we technically, kind of. We pay a subscription fee, A-list.
We paid at least $60.
Yeah,
And
$30 a
we
month.
definitely, yeah, and we've watched way more than $60 worth of theaters.
We paid in popcorn.
theater movie.
Got a lot of popcorn. Had popcorn twice in
You paid.
36 hours. Probably
I
not
never have
healthy.
to buy the popcorn.
I always get popcorn.
But I do get
Even
the
when I
soda.
said I wasn't going to get popcorn, one of you guys got popcorn. I ate your popcorn because you got extra popcorn. So
That was a lot of
It was a
popcorn.
lot of
We didn't
popcorn.
even finish the popcorn.
Remember we were going to do this rapid
Okay.
fire, and now we're talking about popcorn? Going great.
Okay. Well. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. Before this episode goes, it's already in the 2-hour mark, but I feel like that's par for the course. Whenever one of the hosts is MIA for a little bit, but yeah. So Toy Story 5 will get its own section. That's what we're saving for the end. But in that time, and just give me, this will be a challenge, Jason, 1 sentence impression and maybe a score if you want at the
I know
end
2 scores.
for each of these movies I'm going to list.
Do-
All right, then just give me a 1 sentence impression and I'll follow suit.
Oh, I have to
Okay,
lead? No,
Obsession.
you lead. You lead.
Okay, Obsession. Even with the hype, I still really, really enjoyed it.
Same, period.
8 out of 10. No, 9 out of 10.
My 1 sentence was same, period.
Okay, Amazing Digital Circus finale. It was a YouTube show that got screened early in theaters that I watched. It was animated really nicely, but it felt overly melodramatic, and it kind of felt like it lost what made the original series great plot-wise.
I was about to ask if you've actually seen the series.
No, yeah, I had kept up with it up until then, mainly because there's an animator named Kevin Temmer that I was a really big fan of way before the show came on, and they promoted it, and that's how I found. Oh, not even that, because I didn't realize this until literally last week. This is not counting towards the sentence. This is kind of a tangent.
We can do that? Good to
Sorry
know.
for rapid fire.
Good to know.
Well, this is what the podcast is for. But anyway, so Gooseworks that made the Amazing Digital Circus, little did I know that, because I just never made that connection, I didn't know that I was a fan of their YouTube channel since we were in college. Well, no, that's a big old lie. So, not since we were in college, since 6 years ago. Whatever
That's
year that
very
is,
different than
that's
college,
hard.
to the tune of like
Yes.
almost a decade different.
Wait, that's pandemic time. Oh man. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, basically, through the course of some really random animations, I ran into their channel through a video called Little Runmo, which is like a Super Mario-esque kind of parody that was really fun, and I liked it. And that was like, way before Amazing Digital Circus came out. But I didn't know that was them. Like, I didn't make that connection until like recently-ish. But yeah, point is, enjoyed the visuals. Plot led a lot to be desired for a finale. Yeah, 4 out of 10. Okay.
I did
next
not
one.
see this one, comma, so I'm going to use my 1 sentence to talk more about Obsession, colon, Kevin, comma, you are right. Second colon, Andy Richter
What?
is
What?
very briefly in Obsession. Period.
What was I right about?
Andy
Obsession.
Richter being very briefly in Obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah, like very briefly. Like
Okay.
briefer than I expected. That's all 1 sentence. That was a run-on.
Mandalorian and Grogu. Weaponized cuteness worked. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Literally because of the cuteness, but yeah.
How
The
much of the cuteness
segment,
added? Let's say no cuteness. Where does the movie go down to?
5 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
It was basically a couple episodes strung together.
Grogu carried.
That should have been the
Base-
sentence.
Yeah, there you go. It's basically a couple episodes strung together with a higher budget, a great Grogu segment to Angel's point, and a really good score by Ludwig, who is Childish Gambino's old producer and obviously has gone on to do a bunch of other great movies. Period. All one sentence.
Oh, damn, I was muted. Okay. All right, Disclosure Day. I wish it was about the actual Disclosure Day and not everything leading up to Disclosure Day. 6 out of 10.
It was a chase movie masquerading as an alien movie that felt like it would have been great if it came out about 20 years ago, because that's what so much of the movie felt like, something from 20 years ago. Should I share my anecdote about this one, though, Angel? You know what I'm talking about.
This is your one tangent.
Okay, I get one
You got
tangent. I
ratioed
got
hard.
ratioed about this movie on the internet, on Threads. I got real ratioed. So in the movie, they do a flashback to one of the characters' houses, or they reconstruct one of the characters' houses, and it's supposed to be set in the mid-90s. And I noticed in that shot, there was an NES in their living room. And I wanted to make the point on the internet that the movie felt like it was from a bygone era. And I should probably get the exact post up to make sure the ratioing is understood. So what I wrote is at one point in Disclosure Day, there's a bedroom supposedly from 1996 as an NES instead of an SNES or N64. If that's not an apt metaphor for how the whole movie feels like it's from a bygone decade, I don't know what is. Now, very, 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 very quickly, people were like, well, hold on, I had an NES in the mid-90s. I couldn't upgrade to the new system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I got ratioed hard. And essentially I was like, oh, look at my privilege showing unintentionally. And I felt bad. And then someone responded to, I got like 42 likes on it. And then someone that said, I had friends that couldn't afford one. This feels like you're digging deep for negatives, had 94 likes. And then there were 55 comments. But what someone pointed out in there, which is kind of what I was leaning on, is one of the biggest mistakes nostalgic movies and TV shows make is being filled with touchstones from the specific year they were set. That's not how life works. Looking around your house right now, you know, your furniture's not all from this year, or your books, or is your laptop, or your clothes? Of course not. So yes, maybe, arguably, could have been like, you know what? Yeah, people had NESs in the 90s, but I was thinking in the Stranger Things mindset where it's like the year is 1986 and every single thing we show you in this show is from the year 1986. So when I was trying to make the comparison about the NES being in a 90s house, I was using that mindset. And I got completely obliterated by people that were literally like, basically like, well, clearly you had a good childhood. And I was like, oh, now I just feel really bad. So that's my ratio. But it came from a
classist monster.
I know.
All right.
I know. I felt so bad. And what was funny too, though, is I like responded to the first person. I was just like, you know, point taken. And I said something like point across all the comments, like in parentheses taken. Like, okay, you guys make. Didn't matter. 45 more comments came in after that. I'm like, I get it. I screwed up. Chill. but yeah, I felt kind of bad. But yep, my first time getting ratioed at that level. So, rite of passage.
Yeah, Jason not checking his privileges aside. So Minions and Monsters. Oh, I have to go first. Great visuals. It was fun. 7 out of 10.
The first third, where it does a lot of send-ups and tributes and references to classic Hollywood, which it does throughout the movie, but mostly in the first third, actually, when I thought about it in hindsight, gave me like more kid-friendly Animaniacs vibes, which was cool. It's funny because this is, I guess, two sentences, but it's funny because I feel like a lot of people, the word of mouth on the movie.
Like a run-on
It's a real run-on. A lot of people, the word of mouth of the movie was like, oh, for older viewers, you'll appreciate all the Hollywood references. And then what I actually ended up appreciating was the Animaniacs style referencing of Hollywood references, which made me realize Animaniacs is now old, and I'm now old too, because that's also 30 years ago now. So, yeah. But no, it was a pretty fun movie. My first Minions movie.
Jesus.
Done.
Okay. Supergirl.
Oh, you saw it too, right? Yeah, you saw it too. Okay, go.
Yeah. It was fine. Yeah, that's it. 6 out of 10.
I feel like the internet hatred was stronger than... the movie didn't deserve as much hatred as it got. I actually kind of enjoyed it.
I mean, I didn't hate it, but
I actually
it was
enjoyed it for the most
fine.
part. It wasn't great. Wasn't top tier, but it was... I don't know. I feel like the internet's being really hard on it for no reason.
Damn.
Or not no reason, but
I'll talk to...
sexist reasons. misogynistic reasons. I feel like the negativity around it is worse than what it actually is by a long shot.
Well, I was gonna say, like, none of my negativity is. I mean, obviously, at all like sexist.
No, not yours. Just the general hatred the internet has displayed towards it feels unjust for what it actually is. Because I actually kind of enjoyed it, and I don't see the complaints.
No, yeah, and I'm scraping to find positive things to say about it, and like it was fine. But
there's a lot wrong with it, but there's a lot that did pretty okay.
Yeah, no, yeah, there were some good things. I think they just came a little later than I would like them to, but yeah.
What?
But anyway,
what? What do you mean?
What's
that mean?
But before we move on to Toy Story 5, can I go over the movies that I've logged into my letterbox?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Which
please.
this also brings up a good point.
She was just a very unlikable character until way too late. I feel like it took too long to make her like sympathetic.
Oh, so
I
you
did
didn't
eventually
like how
her.
they did the flashback in the middle. You would have liked it up front.
Yeah, if it was not like up front, just like a little closer to up front, because like, I get where she was coming from, but it just kind of that shtick just got old really quick for me.
I didn't mind
Like it just like, yeah, like I don't know. I think I feel like I just seen it a lot. I don't know. Maybe this is just like another one of just of those like hard not to compare it to other things. That's just like okay, all right, we get it.
It's definitely the
Like it wasn't until I learned more about it that I was like, oh, okay, like this makes more sense now. Thank you for giving me more context. Not just this is just who you are because I just have to accept it.
It definitely is not top tier superhero movie, but the way that the internet seems to be thinking it's the absolute worst thing out there, it's not that either by any means.
Oh,
yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah,
No,
that's what I meant by the
definitely not.
masochism and stuff. Not you.
Yeah.
Or not masochism,
and I guess, like,
misogyny. Masochism is a different word.
Yeah, and on that standard, like, you know, we definitely have like tiers of superhero movies. Like I would say it's definitely like towards the bottom of like the better superhero movies versus being like the top of like the bad superhero movies.
Yeah,
because like
exactly.
there was like a lot of great stuff, but you know at this point like we have seen some really great superhero movies, and it's just like hard to it doesn't quite compare to those. But we also have seen some really bad ones, and it's definitely not that.
And there's some.
It definitely does not deserve that much.
And there's some weird
like,
swings and misses. Like Lobo's inclusion. You could make that whole movie without him. He was just randomly there. Like he didn't really add anything.
Yeah, like
there's a lot of odd
like
choices. The needle drop in the final fight was definitely a notable choice. but yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I say like the movie like it's just fine. Like it's just fine.
Yeah, I think my expectations were so low that I was just pleasantly surprised by how not
and that's
bad it was. Yeah.
Right, and that's a good thing. Yeah, because I think when I saw it, I hadn't heard much yet, so they were neutral when I went in, and it basically just like went just below the neutral line, which is not necessarily a bad thing for where,
I'm gonna make a real wild statement. Some parts of it, not the whole movie, but there are parts of it I think I like more than the Superman movie that came out last year, which is pretty much the opposite of what the internet says. But don't. I mean, the Superman movie is a stronger movie for sure, but there's some elements of Supergirl that I thought landed, no pun intended, better.
Literally the landings. I see. We'll have to dive deeper later to see what those parts were. But anyway, so you've seen 14 movies. What are those? Rapid fire.
All right,
like
rapid fire.
You get 2 tangents.
All right, starting off with Begonia. I gave it 3.5 stars. My review is
okay. Wait, are these out of 10 or 5?
These are out of 5, 3.5. So 7 out of 10, whatever you want to think about it. Some of these are incredibly lame jokes because that's just we have to discuss at some point in the future letterboxed culture. AJ,
that might soon be bought up by any number.
Yeah,
of
let's
studios.
not pretend. Let's pretend that.
All right,
news to break out just as I bought the $100 tier.
Okay, this won't count as a tangent.
Anyways, Begonia, 3.5 stars. Where was Adam Friedland? That's an inside joke for anybody that listens to Adam Friedland. Spotlight, 4 out of 5 stars. My review: I need Ruffalo to keep acting in movies where he investigates shit. All right, next movie, The Rip, 2 out of 5 stars. This is by far the most Netflix ass movie I've ever seen. Next, A House of Dynamite, 2.5 stars. Tracy Letts being one of the actors of the movie, was way too excited to start bombing MFers. I censored it specifically for you, Angel. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Very
Next
courteous.
movie, Apex. 1.5 stars. What?
I'm a little confused with that. I thought they were giving me a timestamp because of...
No, he
but then I realized-
pre-censored himself and said MFers. You're good.
Yeah.
Oh,
He helped you.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I did get it right. All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Which
you. I
is
appreciate
which
that.
is shorthand
Anyway.
for mother. Going on to
And that's at
Apex.
21906,
Oh my
Angel. 21906.
219. Next movie, Apex. 1.5 stars. This is probably the lamest joke that I have.
Based on the game?
My joke is no legend. This movie was absolute.
You stepped on his punchline, Angel.
This movie was absolute trash.
His is better.
Next movie, it was just an accident. 3.5 stars, but I gave it a heart. Okay. My review for this was added to the quote unquote movies that make me want to make movies list. It was just an accident. Next movie, Dead Man's Wire. 3 stars. Bill Skarsgård is one of the best actors of this generation, which I absolutely believe, especially after seeing this movie.
I would hope, since you wrote it, that you believe it. So that's good.
I think he has the it factor.
He absolutely does have the it factor. Next movie, Blackberry. 4 out of 5 stars. My review, Canada's loose adaptation of The Social Network.
That is so spot on. I love that movie, but that's so spot. It is very Social Network vibe.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Next movie, Twisters. 3 stars, but with a like. Slight spoiler for this one. Ain't no way I watched that entire thing for them to not kiss. Moving on. Project
I've seen
Hail
that one,
Mary.
so I get that.
4 out of 5 stars. My review for this. You ever watch a movie and then kick yourself for not watching it in IMAX?
I'm going to guess, Kevin, is that you're referring specifically to the spacewalk scene?
Yes.
Yeah, not to rub it in, it looked good in IMAX. I can't confirm.
Yeah. If tangent, if they ever re-release this movie in IMAX, I will be there day one.
I'm down to go with you. It's a fun movie. I'd see it again.
Another slight tangent, slight spoiler. Well, no, it's not even a slight spoiler. The fact that they gave away the twist in the marketing,
I know.
insane.
I know. I stopped watching the trailers as soon as the twist came out. The first teaser that didn't give it away was great, and then as soon as I saw it, I'm like, I'm not watching anything more of the marketing. And I was mostly... Yeah, go ahead.
It's not even the trailer bits, because I didn't watch the trailer. I got hit with a random Instagram ad of Ryan Gosling talking to the twist.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no,
Like,
that...
you know,
I mean, if people read the book...
Ryan Gosling, blah, 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 of Project Hail Mary.
Oh, yeah. They were
And
doing like
yeah.
a... Yeah, I think I saw that too. But I
So
saw it
stupid.
opening weekend in part to avoid any further spoilers. But it is a book, so I imagine they figured most people already knew from the book, which is a weird assumption.
Yeah. Great movie. 4 out of 5. And most recently, 2 days ago, I watched a movie called No Other Choice. 5 out of 5 stars with a heart, with a like. And my review is this movie has more sauce in its directing / editing than every superhero movie in the history of the world combined.
What is
I
it
believe that's
about?
12
Yeah, I got
movies.
that good of a review. Would give us like
So that
a...
was
Damn
12 movies.
fighting words.
Not 14
Let-
movies.
Let
12
this
movies, sorry, I
be...
miscounted.
Let this be your third tangent. What is that movie about? I'm very intrigued by your positive praise.
So it is I don't want to mess up his name. It is, where is he? Park Chan-wook, the director of such classics like Old Boy,
Okay.
Lady Vengeance,
Yeah.
The Handmaiden.
Mm-hmm.
This is his most recent movie. Oh, he also worked on The Sympathizer, which is an HBO show with Robert Downey Jr. But anyways, No Other Choice. It's about this man, the man being the front man from Squid Game. He's the main character in this. He gets laid off at his paper company, and so another paper company starts up, and he applies for that. And to make sure that he gets the job, he goes on a quest to murder the 4 other applicants who are ahead of him. Fantastic movie.
So it's no more. It's like No More Heroes, kind of. That's sort of the plot of No More Heroes, although it's not applicants. But yeah.
Sure, but yeah, fantastic movie. Oh my god, there's the scene where somebody snaps her fingers and it hard cuts to a different scene of somebody lighting a cigarette or like just lighting up a lighter, and it's like something activated in my brain. Like, man, this movie's got so much sauce.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll
currently on
check
Hulu
that out.
if you want to watch it. It's a little bit longer.
Okay.
It's a little bit longer, but yeah, amazing movie.
I'm gonna throw in a rapid fire that's not a movie but a show. Beef. I finally watched both seasons of Beef. Pretty fun show. Season 1 stronger. Weirdly, the show's like they make references to Linkin Park, Mario, UCSB, and in season 2, Josh Gambino. And I'm like, and it's set in Santa Barbara in season 2. And I was like, are they like in my head? Like it's all these things directly catering to me. It's very strange, but it's a good show. Very good show.
Oh, indeedy. Well, I guess that leaves us with the final one, which I guess we decided, well, maybe me as a host decided, deserves some actual little time. Even considering that we're already at 2 hours and 24 minutes. Jesus. But, it deserves its flowers because, Toy Story 5 did surprise. Despite being the 5th Toy Story, two Toy Stories after pretty much everyone that has a breathing pulse agrees should have ended already. It still felt like it had something to say. It still has some great jokes. It always has some great animation, great visuals, great characters, great new characters. Really enjoyed Conan's character.
Yeah, Conan's good in this. His range is actually quite good.
I think what made this one feel even better than the second one, the second,
The
fourth one. I was trying to find like a weird way to say fourth.
You're trying to say the second unnecessary. No, this is the second unnecessary.
First, yeah, exactly. I guess it would be the fourth sequel, but yeah, no,
it'd be the third sequel.
Yeah, but anyway, so Toy Story 4, after watching it a couple times, but like I've said before many times, after watching it the second time, I think the second time I watched it, I was just at a point in my life where like everything just really clicked with it, and I just really loved it. I love Woody's arc of wanting to just live his own life, to basically still live to his code of looking after toys, but no longer being shackled by, I made a promise to Andy, I need to stay with Bonnie, and just live his life. Like, there was just something about that just really hit, and the ending with him going with Bo Peep was just like chef kiss. Like, I just loved it. Like, it just felt so earned, and it just made me really happy for Woody. Did it need to actually happen? No. Like, did they have to go anywhere after Toy Story 3? They didn't, but they did, and I'm glad they went with this versus whatever plot Disney was going to force on Pixar, because they were saying, if you don't make Toy Story 4, we're going to make it ourselves, and they had this whole other thing planned with some Island of Lost Toys, which almost seems like kind of got touched on the 5th. But the 5th one finally like kind of disconnects everything from Andy. Like, it's no longer like even tied to like, this, God complex of Andy. It's just a movie about the Bonnie generation. Almost that, like, it didn't even need to be called like Toy Story 5. It could have been called like, Toy Story subtitle or like Jessie or something. But regardless, it allowed it to stand on its own and just like kind of feel like, cool. Toy Story 1 through 4 had this whole, I guess, long story building up to this. Now we have this new adventure. And what I really appreciate about it is that, tech is like a big thing in it, but it wasn't as preachy as Zootopia. It basically had a message to say about tech, but it was a little more nuanced than just tech is bad, go play outside. It was like, no, tech can be bad if used a certain way. Monitor what your kids are doing. Like, tech can also be good. Tech has a bunch of great advantages that we didn't have before. But it can also lead to, unnecessary and unfortunate repercussions if unchecked. But it was funny. It had a bunch of great references. One from Bambi that I did not expect at all. But yeah, I really liked it. So far, as much as I loved Obsession, it's my current movie of the year, but we're also only halfway there. And there's many more movies that I want to watch this year. But yeah, Jason, I know you saw it.
I did.
I'm sure you disagree.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought, I don't know if it does sort of seem like, to your point, that's kind of the hard line into the next generation of Toy Story, sort of. It does feel like they could go from here with this new, the new humans, but it doesn't feel as disconnected from the last ones as you were kind of playing. Woody's arc is over, but the Jesse parts tie directly back to Toy Story 2 and whatnot. But it was good. It was very good. Conan was great. You guys know I'm a huge Conan guy. He hit Smarty Pants was great. I had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I don't have much else to add. There are some visuals that look really cool. But yeah, I don't have much deeper thoughts besides this. It was very delightful. For lack of a better word.
Oh. Damn. All right. Well, I guess
you were expecting me to have a whole thing.
You also didn't give it a rating, Angel.
Oh. 8 out of 10. No, shoot. 9 out of 10. Damn. I guess it's tied with Obsession. So I might have to reevaluate this.
If you think about it, think of it like this way in Letterboxd terms. It could be 9 out of 10, but with a heart. With a like. Like I said, we will at some point. I have to discuss Letterboxd and just the culture of it.
Yeah, that's been a really tough thing, and I do want to pick your guys' brains on it maybe in a later episode. But I've been using a personalized spreadsheet to track the media I consumed and marking these scores, but I just want to have an app that just tracks books, shows, movies, anime, anything in a very easy way that I could just type the name, give a score, maybe write a little blurb, and then I'm good. But that doesn't seem to really exist. So
it exists for
doing this
movies.
spreadsheet kind of
like you're talking about the TV version just shut down. TV Trope or whatever it's called used to be.
Yeah, like Letterboxd is sounds perfect, but I want it for everything. I don't want to get a subscription just for movies. Because I feel like
that's how I use my social profiles. I always, whenever I see a movie, I think I've only once or twice not, but for every movie I see, not less so shows, but for every movie I see, I usually whip up some thought about it. And then put the hashtag or the tag or whatever. So
and for what it's worth with Letterboxd, it's completely free. You do not need a subscription.
Yeah, they have a supporting tier through Patreon, right? But the core thing is free.
Yeah, maybe if Letterboxd expanded or added more things to them. But, the spreadsheet is working. It's not fancy, but, I guess the job done. At the very least, it's really easy to reference when the quarantinis come around, and I could just, go to my 2026 tab.
Oh, yeah, that's what's difficult for me with my method.
And just be like, what did I watch this year? Bam, nice list of everything there. And usually... if it's highlighted, it's something, or if it's boldened, it's something that I've seen that it's a repeat screening. There are some, I will make a note of movies I rewatched that year, but I'll put them in bold because sometimes, my opinions change of them. Or, in the case of Mario, the first instance of it was not bold, but then the next two were bold because, it was a rewatch. But yeah. That seems to cover everything. We made it to 2.5 hours. Jason, go ahead and do the housekeeping. And just to kind of make it quick, Kevin will get the last word. Go.
Oh, so he's coming right off me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Well, hold on. I need to do my part, then you do your part. Okay, so you can find us on all the various podcasting platforms. Wherever you're listening to us, that's where we are. How's that for making sense? So we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, we are on Amazon Music, we are on Pandora, we are on iHeartRadio, we are on TuneIn, we are on YouTube at Round Nintendo, we are on Twitter at Round Nintendo. We are individually on the socials as well. As I was just saying, if you want to hear my thoughts on movies as I see them, at JSR7 on Threads and Twitter. If you want to hear whatever Kevin's cooking up in his brain, at KVN Gomi on Twitter and Blue Sky. If you want to see whoever Angel's cooking up in his brain, his Instagram at World of Weros with an S on the end is where you can do that. And that's all I got.
Oh, so now I got the final word?
Correct.
Yep. Now you got the final word.
Argentina defeated Switzerland 3-1.